How's it going, everybody? It's Young here with an exclusive first look at a Hideo Kojima book from Mother Base with Love. This right here is a project by Tarak Chami, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and basically his goal was to send a love letter from fans to Hideo Kojima, the man who brought us the Metal Gear series in all its glory. And with everything that's been going on, he just figured this was sort of a good way to lift up the spirits of both the fans and Kojima, and to just look back at some of the incredible work that Hideo Kojima and his fans have done over the past couple of years. It's an amazing project, and what's really cool is that he finally managed to give this book to Kojima himself. If you check out his Twitter and Facebook, you will see photos of that. And they also gave him this awesome Ludens helmet that one of the fans made. It's just this whole awesome project. And I want to just take the time to highlight all the fans who contributed to this. And I think it's a journey worthwhile for you guys who might be interested in this book. I don't think it's out for the public yet, but for those who are curious about what this project is all about, let's dive into a full read-through of a Hideo Kojima book from Mother Base with Love. Here's the cover, an amazing artwork. We've got Hideo Kojima on the left and Venom Snake, or just Snake, on the right. And we got a stamp that says approved by fans. So onwards we go. Just a blank page. And here we have just sort of a cover from Mother Base with Love, limited edition. We got Snake, old Snake on the left there. Awesome artwork. I think we're going to see that later down the line, or the artist who made this later down the line. All of the content in this book, by the way, is fan-made. Nothing that I saw was, like, official, but some of the stuff does look official because it's so freaking good. So here's the index for those who are curious about that, all the fans that contributed to this, and again, we're going to look through every single one of these, so I'm not going to dive into this too much, but I do want to focus on the art in the middle there. We're going to meet this artist later in the book. But I mean, look at that. It's so freaking amazing what the fans have managed to do with the Metal Gear series and Kojima's work. So it's truly compelling what this book represents and what it has in it, the contents and whatnot. So here he is, the man himself, Tarak Chami, who started this project and completed his mission, if you will, not that long ago during TGS 2016 when he finally handed this book to Kojima himself. And I'm going to read his little message to him. Dear Hideo, with this collection, I wanted to pay you the long overdue tribute you deserve. A tribute from your greatest fans, artists, cosplayers, websites, but also a few of your friends from all over the world. Every one of them accepted the invitation without hesitation, probably because the idea of creating and participating in a project for you in the name of a wonderful community was an exciting challenge. Our origins, way of life, religious beliefs were all set aside. The only thing that mattered was to work together for a cause we believe in. As you'll see, the content of this book is a tribute to your work, to your talent, to Metal Gear. But that's not all. It would have been unfair to not mention the other creations that got you recognized as a godfather of video games, such as Zone of the Enders, Policenauts, or Snatchers. The idea isn't to retrace your whole career, as that would take a gigantic amount of people and paper, but we wanted to add them nonetheless. A mix of memories, anecdotes, and wishes for the future. Your future, that is, and the future of video games as we love them. That is what's waiting for you once you turn this page. I hope with all my heart that you will like what you see as much as I've loved making it for you. Enjoy your read, Mr. Kojima, Tarak. That is an awesome message for Hideo Kojima, and here we have a foreword from Gameblog France, editor Julian Chiez, I don't know how to pronounce that, Chiez, and he says, a Hideo Kojima book. What could be more sincere and beautiful than passionate people working together on a project? Page after page of this Hideo Kojima book, artists, journalists, film directors, gamers, cosplayers, each in their own way will prove Hideo Kojima's work has left an incredible mark in the hearts of many men and women. Some experiences stick with you for the rest of your life. Much more than quality games, the Metal Gears definitely qualify as such experiences. There's Metal Gear and then there are the others, just as there's Hideo Kojima and then there are the others. Mr. Kojima and his creations are unique. Not perfect, nothing is, but generous, audacious, profound, stellar, different. With Metal Gear, I've lived incredibly intense moments. I have been astonished by Metal Gear Solid's timeless mastery, impressed by the cleverness of Metal Gear Solid 2's pre-release PR, reduced to tears by the ending of Metal Gear Solid 3, relatively frustrated by Metal Gear Solid 4, seduced by the audacity of Peace Walker, touched by the final message of Metal Gear Solid 5. So many memories, soundtracks, surprises, moments of joy and anger, all coming back to the surface. The book is a testimony and a thanking. Thanks, by the way, to Tarak Chami for creating and supporting this project with all his strength, and for allowing me to write these few words. I will write about 3 dates, 3 personal memories I have with Hideo Kojima, the only director I know whose games start with a first teaser. Summer 1997. Internet is only at its beginning and YouTube is still 8 years away. It's another day and age. I'm 17 and I've been happily working in the video game specialized press for a year. That day I remember a VHS tape that was lying on a desk in Joypad's editorial office. This is how Konami presented the trailer for one of their future major titles. The video launches, the noise quickly stops and silence and bewilderment set in. What we were discovering I still remember to this day. Metal Gear Solid unveiled itself before our eyes. The staging, the futuristic ninja with its stylish poses we were all going to imitate, the unique ambiance, everything was there. Feeling it was going to pulverize every known standard in the industry. I asked to follow the project. I didn't regret taking this initiative. Previews, tests, tips, and tricks. For months I had the honor of working with a masterpiece. Since that day I was determined to give the game the treatment its quality deserved. This was undoubtedly my first shock as a video game journalist. May 10th, 2000. A handful of us are invited to the Universal Studios in Los Angeles to discover, a few hours before E3, the first preview of Metal Gear Solid 2. Nothing had leaked. The PlayStation 2 was still struggling, people weren't convinced. The demo was only going to be more powerful. For the first time, Hideo Kojima was standing in front of me, the creator of the game, whose interviews with Famitsu I had to have translated to learn more about him, was right there. I felt he was very different from the others. At the time, he was still far from being the star he was going to become, but it already felt like he was this mischievous mind with a desire to overthrow the established order, to strike hard, to never be satisfied with the ordinary. After a quick speech in English, where he forgot a line and got a good laugh out of it, the trailer was shown for the first time. Let's be clear, the shockwave it created is the craziest thing that ever happened at E3, even 16 years later. I've never again seen such unanimity. At E3 2000, MGS2 was walking on water, crushing everything in its path. A few days later, Hideo and myself met again for an interview, the first we ever did together. He already told me at the time that he wanted to betray the players' expectations, an attitude that, even more than taking a big risk, characterized, in his opinion, the real creative pulsion. I had no idea what he had in store for us in the future. Today, these words still echo in my mind. This is his strength, his courage. April 2010, Tokyo. I have the opportunity to cover the Japanese launch of Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker in exclusivity for Gameblog. Anecdotes? I'd have so many, but I particularly remember a confession Kojima made. He told me, you know, when you create, you must not seek unanimous support. The creator was expressing how much consensus can sometimes be close to the dull, how you sometimes need to accept not to appeal to certain people in order to make an impression. Mr. Kojima seeks to surprise, to exceed limitations, to make the impossible possible, even if it's at the cost of destabilizing his teams and the players. With lots of tremors, elation and thrill, doubts, joy, conflicts, it has to be accepted. More than his job, Hideo Kojima made video games his life. It's been almost 20 years now, and Hideo and I run into each other each year. These meetings always have a very specific feeling. He has told me how, for a long time, he tried to make his eldest son take an interest in his games. He has talked to me about Steve Jobs, about his desire to make the Japanese game development world change, about his inspirations and sometimes his doubts. I've seen him evolve. I've seen him in light moods, and at times I've seen him tense, always focused on his goal, to create. Hideo Kojima's insatiable. In my opinion, he is the most influential video game creator of these last decades. He gives everything he has, exposes himself, gives his opinion. He is eminently alive. We love him this way, or we love hating him. Who cares? He leaves no one indifferent. Every gamer knows him. Hideo Kojima is now bigger than Hideo. He is now a trademark in the world of video games, which at times has frightened some people. Nevertheless, believe me, for having met him regularly, the man behind the mask is at least as interesting as the creator. Sometimes he's very open, sometimes he's reclusive, discreet, loyal, sometimes demanding with his teams, as people have told me many times, demanding with himself too. Being one of a kind requires a lot of determination. Since he left Konami and after a difficult year, Mr. Kojima's smiling again. At our last meeting at E3 2016, I felt he was full of a new strength. The man knows the opportunity he has. At 52, he gets a chance to start a new adventure with a blank slate and a lot of experience. The pressure is high, of course, the ambitions are very present, but the first trailer for Death Stranding gave the tone of this new era. While asking many questions already, Hideo is back. While we wait for what's coming, Hideo Kojima, I want to thank you for these 20 years of common memories. Thank you for refusing the status quo. Thank you for taking risks. Thank you for shaking the establishment's beliefs in the video game world. Thank you for questioning players. Thank you for being so difficult to figure out. Thank you for giving us food for thought. Thank you for giving your passion, your energy, your life to video games. Thank you. The best is yet to come. Julian Chiez. So that is a very cool message to Hideo Kojima, a good preface for what's to come in this book. So let's move on. So we got the Japanese translation here and an artwork of Meryl, which is really nice. And this is the first part of the book, artworks that fans have contributed. So of course we have this first one right here, and we're gonna see the user who created this later, so let's move on. First up, we have Ann K from the USA. We have her Tumblr and DeviantArt page listed right there, so for those who want to check that out, you can go ahead. Bio. Anne, based in San Diego, describes herself as a raging nerd who likes 90s anime, RPG, and action-adventure games, and the occasional cosplay. Her style tends to veer more towards the realistic side and can sometimes have a raw or visceral tone. Her childhood dream was going to Japan and becoming a manga artist. About Hideo Kojima. Kojima really has a talent when it comes to reaching out to audiences from around the world. One of the most prestigious aspects of his games is the extreme attention to detail in the art and gameplay itself. Not to mention, the games are able to articulate on history, politics, military affairs, biotechnology, culture, which shows that Kojima and the team are willing to do tremendous research to make the world of the game more believable and tangible to the player. Kojima was able to do everything a popular celebrity could do and still give you a sense of substance. All in one, the Metal Gear series is an absolute wholesome experience. Let's check out some of this artwork. First up, we have Quiet. Looks pretty awesome. It's got this digital background and just kind of cool to look at. And then we have a few other artworks. We have one of Quiet again on the right with butterflies, which is a very cool way of showing her off. And on the left, we got Raiden with, who looks to be Rose, just hugging it out with her mate. So that's a pretty cool way of showing that off. And we have Raiden plugging something on the back of her neck. So that's very cool, a very interesting way to showcase those two characters. Moving along, we have Ariel Rothbart from USA. We've got Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook pages you can check out. Bio, a jewelry design student based in China. As she learned more about the art of painting, she fell in love with it. She travels a lot and takes interest in all different cultures, paying them the respect that she firmly believes they deserve. She found drawing to be the best form of expression for her, and uses it to her creative ends. About Hideo Kojima. At first, I was addicted to the voice character that Akio Otsuka-san played. When I know one of his most famous characters named Snake is in the game, I was really curious. I haven't played video games for years. I've definitely heard about Metal Gear before, so I went on to play it one by one. The more I learn about the story, the more I love this game, and the thoughts that Mr. Kojima have explained, the way he quotes those fantastic movies. Besides, he got the best company, Yoji Shinkawa-san, who is one of my favorite illustrator. I want to see more of his work. Metal Gear changed my life. It gives me a lot of fantastic friends and great inspirations. Thank you for all, Mr. Kojima-san. And on the right, we have one of the illustrations. We have Big Boss himself alongside the boss, a very cool artwork. It's got this sort of paint/marker aesthetic to it, which I really like. And we have, wow, that's really cool. The two snakes, the twin snakes. We've got a solid snake on the right, and on the left, you can see the snake kind of liquefying in the middle there. Really, really cool conceptualization there, and just a very interesting art style that I totally dig. Moving on, Boris Grozev. Bio. Boris is a 23-year-old Bulgarian artist. He left his country, moved to Italy, and has lived there ever since. He studied art for 5 years in Lecco, then spent 2 years studying graphic design. During these years, Boris was involved in an indie comic book company project named 15 Year Comics as one of the main artists. He still works there to this day. About Hideo Kojima. I've started playing the Metal Gear Solid games at the beginning of 2016, and what I can say about it after playing the games is that Hideo Kojima is a genius and a revolutionary creator who will probably remain that way his whole life. He introduced so many elements to gaming, it's astonishing. So many other game creators were inspired by him. It's definitely fair to say he helps shape a new game creation process at a whole new level. I have a lot of respect for him, and I hope he continues making great games with his new company. And on the right, we have some very cool looking artwork, very cartoony. This could almost be a great artwork for a Metal Gear Solid cartoon series, just kind of more of a lighthearted cartoon Metal Gear series. It'd be really cool to see with this kind of artwork. And we have more down here. We got Meryl with a wolf alongside Solid Snake. We've got Naked Snake on the bottom here thinking about eating snakes, which is pretty funny. And on the right, we have a very badass look at the boss. She's got that cartoony art style, but she definitely oozes that sense of badassery. And she's wielding a combat knife, I believe, or what could be a sword or something. Very, very cool art style. Definitely one of the more unique arts I have seen. Moving along, we have Bruno Leyval. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts you can check out for his work. Bio. Bruno Leyval is a French artist who sculpts, paints, performs, writes poetry, and does photography. He's also a social, political, and cultural critic. About Hideo Kojima. A very poor gamer, I'm not too interested in spending my days with a controller in my hand. Despite that, for the release of MGS5 The Phantom Pain, I had the opportunity to work on the Konami pop-up store in Paris. The richness and depth of the universe Hideo Kojima created was a great discovery to me, and an incredible source of visual inspiration. I dove into his stealth action game with immense pleasure, and did a lot of research on his saga. Millions of fans can't be wrong. The story, the complexity of the characters, the setting, all the ingredients were there to turn me into an uncontrollable addict. Satisfied with my work in a universe so far away from my usual subjects, I have to admit the experience was both intense and productive. And on the right, we have his first artwork showcase. Has a sort of noir comic book style to it, which is really interesting. And you can definitely see some inspiration from Shinkawa's artwork, which is really cool. And down here, we got more of his style. It looks like the use of a black marker mostly. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty badass. It uses very simple sort of lighting and shapes, but it creates this very vivid and very cool looking image, almost like silhouettes, but you know, detailed silhouettes. Really interesting, posterized kind of artwork. Moving on, we have Comilla Paddock from USA. We've got Tumblr and Twitter pages you can check out. Comilla is a 22-year-old artist from Michigan. She graduated from the Savannah College of Art and Design with a BFA in sequential art. She now works part-time as a carpenter and freelance artist. She describes herself as an aspiring comics artist and a passionate fan artist. She loves music, remixes, thrift stores, and watching anime. About Hideo Kojima. I was the youngest in the neighborhood growing up, so when all us kids got together and played video games, I was always the first to be killed. Haha. It really soured my experience with them. I avoided video games all my life until my older sister got me to play MGS1 a few months ago. It was the first video game of that caliber I ever beat on my own, and I was so proud of myself. I felt like I finally understood what makes video games enjoyable. Since then, it's been an absolute joy to follow Kojima's work and to catch up on all the games I've missed out on because I didn't think I could do it. Thank you, Kojima. If it weren't for you, I might have never enjoyed one of the great things this world offers. On the right, we have this really cool image of a very grunt Viking-esque snake with a chicken hat. Very cool contrast, and a bunch of exclamation marks in the back. And we've got some she has a very sort of cutesy and very colorful art style that I totally dig. We've got Otacon on the right, Are You an Otaku too? We've got Kojima and Ludens on the left, and below that, we've got Snake leading the African children out in an almost children's book kind of visual style, which is really cool and interesting. Next up is Dreamer Old Boss from France. We've got Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts you can follow, and here is his bio. Mark is a self-made artist, as he describes himself, and has been drawing for as long as he can remember. His style consists of a mix of Western comics and manga, on top of which he adds a little bit of what he calls the Shinkawa style. About Hideo Kojima. I met Hideo and Yoji for the first time in Paris in 2010. I wanted to give them both a drawing, although I was pretty sure it would end up in a bin. After that, every time I heard they were coming to Paris, I was there, and I would prepare a drawing to give to them. In 2013, as Metal Gear Rising was being launched, I came with my Solid Snake Pixel cosplay gear, and surprised, Mr. Kojima himself wanted to see me backstage because he was impressed with it. When I took off the mask, I saw the change in their faces, and I'll never forget it. I never thought they would recognize me, and even less my drawings, but their translator then told me not only that they did, but Mr. Shinkawa then added that my drawing was getting better every time we met. I felt so honored, words can hardly describe it. These two great men have contributed to the artist I am today, and I really want to thank them from the bottom of my heart, not only on my behalf, but also for all they did for the video game world and the legions of fans worldwide. And yeah, on the right you can totally see some of that Shinkawa influence alongside, a sort of a unique, distinct style that is distinct to Dreamer Old Boss. And this artwork here features none other than Quiet, Venom Snake, alongside the butterfly motif. We've got some more Shinkawa-inspired artwork, which is really cool. We've got, I think, Liquid Snake on the bottom right. We've got some of the snakes on the left. And on the top right, I think we have a sketch of his artwork at the top here. So that's very cool. I really like the style, and I hope he keeps doing art and continues improving his craft. Edward Delandre from France. We've got ArtStation, Facebook, and Instagram pages you can check out. His bio goes as follows. Edward Delandre is a freelance artist from France who specializes in digital painting. He started to draw as soon as he was able to hold a pencil and hasn't stopped ever since. His goal is to get into the gaming industry as a concept artist. About Hideo Kojima. For me, Metal Gear Solid is everything a perfect game should be. Great gameplay, an amazing and intriguing story with powerful characters, and excellent art direction. I grew up playing the Metal Gear games, and they really had an enormous impact on the way I draw and paint now. Your games are one of the main reasons I want to work in this industry, Mr. Kojima, because they show it is still possible to bring original ideas and IPs to life. So I'd like to thank you for the amazing experiences, and I'm looking forward to your future projects at Kojima Productions, starting with Death Stranding, which really got all of us really excited. To the right, we have one of the Skull's Parasite unit. That is a very badass artwork. It almost looks like a sprite, which is really cool. Like, he could be in a visual novel or some kind of fighting game or something. He's got this very cool sprite-like look about him. Moving along, we have the next page, which shows us another artwork of the skulls on the right, more of a close-up, sort of concept art style, and on the left, we have a look at none other than the Man on Fire, or aka Fulgen. Spoiler alert, I guess, although I'm sure everyone knows by now who he is. And just a very cool, distinct concept art, sprite-like art style from what I can see. Really, really cool. Next up, we have Eliant Elias. Bio. Eliant Elias, born in Mexico in 1983, was very attracted to art even as a child. In addition to drawing, he took classes of oil painting at the age of 12, and at 18, he naturally decided to study fine arts at Guadalajara University. During 4 years, he improved his skills, and at the end of his studies, he was chosen to be part of an animation project called Battalion 52 as a concept artist. About Hideo Kojima. Inspiration in my case comes from main sources such as music, movies, and video games. I therefore consider Hideo Kojima, the father of Metal Gear Solid series, as a role model. In the 90s, I discovered MGS on the PlayStation and fell in love instantly. The game had everything I was fond of. A great story, characters with personalities, good gameplay, good music, and it made me feel a very particular way. Mr. Kojima's work has such care and quality put into it, such a special formula of ideas put together in a unique way. This is a one-of-a-kind director, one that I respect and eagerly await every project he works on. Let's go to the next level, Mr. Kojima. And wow, look at that artwork on the right, a very realistic render of Quiet herself. It could be an official concept art as far as I'm concerned. It looks that good. Super awesome job with that. And we have some other ones down here. We got one of an interesting take of Luden's on the right. He's got the helmet, but has a sort of thinner profile and has more of a ninja death, agent of death kind of look, which is really interesting. And on the left, we have another render of, we have a render of Venom Snake with 2 dogs, or wolves perhaps. And on the top left, we have Solid Snake. Who can forget him in New York City? Really cool render, just overall a great concept artist, I think. So I hope he will keep doing this and follow his dreams and keep expressing himself in such a manner. Awesome, awesome artwork. Next up, we have Emil Goska from Poland. Below his name, there's all the websites and social media you can check out for his artwork. His bio goes as follows. Emil Goska is a multimedia graphic designer. He studied graphics and painting for 5 years at the Academy of Fine Arts in Poland, with a graphics design specialization. He's been working as a 2D graphic designer and concept artist for many years, especially in the gaming industry. His favorite genres are sci-fi and fantasy. As a student, he has discovered the production steps of games and movies, and that's how he decided to join the industry. About Hideo Kojima. When I got my first PlayStation, I was immediately drawn to one special game. Metal Gear Solid. It was fascinating, mysterious, and much more realistic and mature than most other games. It had great graphics for the time and great music, which overall created an unforgettable gameplay. The emotional impact of this series was already incredible. The best game in terms of graphics and gameplay is definitely the last masterpiece of Hideo Kojima, MGS5. I never saw the twist coming, and even if the game wasn't fully completed, it is still one of the best games I've ever played. Mr. Kojima, I want to thank you for the unforgettable memories you gave us, with your game series being probably the best ever created. And on the right, we have an awesome artwork of Gray Fox. Look at all that detail, the blood on his leg and on the sword and on his arm and on his left side. It has a lot of grittiness and texture to it. And below that, we have some artwork from MGS Peace Walker on the left, a very cool artwork. And on the right, we have Phantom Pain. We have Venom Snake with T-Wolf. And this looks to be right after the whole Sahelanthropus thing, when he just wrecks everything and everything's on fire. I think it's that mission that he's representing here. And this artwork is an awesome showcase of that. Moving on, we have Emilio Lopez. His websites and social media pages can be found below his name. And for those who don't know, he's the man who made my channel art. That artwork of me pointing super intensely in the main page of my channel. Yup, he drew it. He's a very talented artist, and his bio goes as follows. Emilio is a 35-year-old American. He is a professional freelance artist and has worked in almost every aspect of entertainment, from animation, comic books, trading card games, licensing art, to even video games. Some of the most notable shows he's worked on include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Venture Bros, Metapocalypse, and Black Dynamite. As for comic books, he has been involved in many projects as a colorist and illustrator with DC and Marvel Comics. About Hideo Kojima. I have been a long-time admirer of Mr. Kojima's work, especially since the port of Metal Gear appeared in the US. His work has always been an inspiration. One of my favorite games he created was Snatcher. In 2014, at E3, I got a chance to briefly meet him. I gave him a Big Boss illustration I drew for him in 2010. I want to thank Mr. Kojima for all the retweets of my artwork. Through him, my art reached a global audience. I've worked for years as a freelance artist, but the Metal Gear artwork I did in my spare time has reached more people than the art I did for my jobs. I got to meet and connect with new and interesting people from all over the world. I got to hear their stories on how Mr. Kojima touched their lives. Mr. Kojima, thank you for all your hard work, and good luck with your new studio. And on the right, we have a very cool comic book-esque artwork of Kojima himself, and Emilio Lopez, from what I noticed, really specializes in that comic book style look. Below that, we have some more artwork. We have Kojima on the left here walking towards us, and we have Venom Snake, sort of an after image of him facing away from us. A very cool artwork. In the middle here, we have Solid Snake himself from MGS2 right before he jumps onto the tanker. And then on the right of that, we have two artworks. On the top is the Beauty and the Beast unit. And on the bottom right, we have a few characters you may recognize from Peace Walker, including Amanda, Chico, and their father. And there's just more where that came from. If you follow his Twitter and whatnot, you will see a bunch of his artwork. It's really cool how he manages to give his Metal Gear artwork so much life. Next up, we have Furin, and he's from Germany. His social media and websites can be found below his name. Bio. Furin is a 21-year-old student living in Germany. Being creative was always a big part of his life, as he learned playing the piano for 7 years and always liked drawing a lot. When he got a PC, he discovered his love for video games. A couple of years ago, he decided to go full force on his art and improved quite dramatically. He's still steadily working on it and hopes to become a professional. About Hideo Kojima. Unlike a lot of Kojima's fans, I did not grow up with his games. I never played them until the first trailers for MGS5 came out, but I truly believe that none other than Hideo Kojima could have pulled it off. The way he directed these games and their famous long cutscenes, the music he chose to accompany the grand stories he wrote, everything works together so nicely to create an unforgettable experience. The MGS franchise is truly amazing. I really respect Hideo Kojima for that passion he has, even though the industry is tougher and tougher to work in, because ideas seem to have become less important than financial aspects. I want to somehow repay him for this, which is why I'm really glad to be a part of this project. And on the right, we have a really cool artwork of Raiden. It's got this sort of Western animation look to it with a hint of anime. I don't know, it's this really cool combination of many elements. And it's very colorful and very just cool looking, very badass version of Raiden. Moving along, we have Kim Hyo. He is from the USA, and you can follow him on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. Bio. Hyo Kim is a freelance artist who does traditional drawing and painting. He has always been inspired by Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa's art and their Metal Gear series. As he puts it, the storyline, the visual look of the series, the anti-war theme, all have influenced his work. He loves drawing alternative MGS characters in his own style. About Hideo Kojima. I think Hideo Kojima is the greatest game director creator of all time. Everything from introducing the concept of stealth games, cinematic cutscenes, breaking the fourth wall, to promoting peace instead of senseless violence makes him the best. He proved that a gaming experience can be so much deeper and richer than killing everything that moves, and MGS is proof of that. The series has some of the best character designs out there. Yoji Shinkawa is a brilliant artist and his designs are timeless. I love the way the characters are covered in actual military gear, but also fantasy elements like Fat Man skates, the Pain's bee vest, or Gray Fox and Raiden's cyborg gears. MGS has influenced my art stylistically for the better. And on the right, we have this really cool looking sort of twist to what we know about MGS5. We got Punished Venom Sheep with his bionic leg and hiding under the cardboard box, Fultoning away Snake himself. That is a pretty freaking awesome artwork right there. Moving along, we have Volgin on the left, the Man on Fire, and Volgin side by side. Very cool indeed. And on the bottom left, we have two iconic female characters from the Metal Gear saga, Meryl and Sniper Wolf. And then on the right, that's a very cool artwork of Hideo Kojima and his characters. And below that is none other than Old Snake and Liquid Ocelot right before they're about to face off. Just a very interesting, colorful, playful art style, which I completely dig. Very distinct and just kind of a pleasure to look at. Next up, we have Ilaria Grieco from Italy. Her bio goes as follows. Ilaria Grieco has been a video game and comics lover since she was a child. To her, playing video games and drawing is a passion, which has helped her get through depressing periods as well as happy ones. She feels this is just the beginning of her professional journey, but is very hard at work. Now down what she calls her beautiful path, she aims to create things that may inspire other people, just as she once was. Back when I first played the first MGS, I was just a little girl that dreamed of being a part of the video game world once grown up. Kojima's imagery and dedication to his work are a big inspiration for people like me who want a place in the game industry or just in the artistic field. Trying to be an indie game developer is really hard, especially when you work in the same room where you sleep. On certain days, you just want to give up on everything. Whatever you do is never good enough. You will even come to the point of asking yourself why you keep doing all of this. It's in these moments that the masters like Kojima, who inspired you once to start this journey, come to mind and make you keep on going. That's a very cool excerpt. And on the right, we have this really cool, sort of very artistic artwork of Raiden, very Japanese influence for sure. We've got like rose petals floating everywhere. It's definitely got that beauty essence to it, which is really cool. And below that, wow, look at that. That artwork of Quiet, there's something very compelling about this one right here. And on the right, we have Raiden in his naked state. Who can forget about that? But it's got this mystical aesthetic to it. It's almost like it could be from Kingdom Hearts, almost. Like if Raiden somehow ended up being in that game, like this could be an artwork for that. Very, very, very cool. I hope she will continue to be inspired by Kojima and continue to do artwork because she does some great work right here. Moving along, Ise Ananphada from Thailand. And she has a Facebook and Instagram page you can follow. Her bio is, Ise Ananphada is based in Bangkok, Thailand. Known for her feminine figure illustration style with delicate detail and pastel color palettes, Ise is always interested in symbolic meaning. She's very passionate about her work and loves to play video games, read comics, and watch animes and movies. These sources supply her with constant inspiration, an inspiration that her very particular style reflects. About Hideo Kojima. When a friend asked me to work on a project involving MGS3, I got curious about why everyone was so crazy about that game. That was the birth of a MGS fangirl. I first played Ground Zeroes and found it very interesting and rich, and then got the MGS HD collection to play MGS3 and Peace Walker to get context. I was blown away, and when I got to play the Phantom Pain, I knew that was a series I would not get out of. Kojima-san, your games are absolutely phenomenal. They can even change the minds of gamers who don't usually like military stories in video games and turn them into absolute fans. What I've learned from Hideo Kojima, keep at it until you're satisfied as much as you can. The result is that much finer. Now, there's only one thing left to say. When's your next game coming out, Mr. Kojima? And on the right, you can see some of her illustrations. We've got Quiet and Snake, and then below that, we've got sort of a mural of MGS5 as a whole. And holy shit, check this out. Wow, that is really impressive. This one's all colored in. So I'm guessing that what we're looking at here on the bottom right is an unfinished version of what we are looking at here. Wow, that is actually really impressive. So many elements going on here, and it all just somehow blends together and it all works. Wow, this could almost be official. It's so good. And it's also got this 80s vibe, which I'm pretty sure was intentional and is just absolutely badass. This is definitely incredibly cool. Moving along, we have Joana Rita Gomes from Portugal. And we've got various pages you can visit her in right here on the top right below her name. And her bio goes as follow. Joana is a Portuguese digital traditional artist that goes by the name of Rafaelia. The inspirations for her art are video games, movies, music, and family. She considers herself a creative person that enjoys to learn new things, but what describes her the most is her determination to never give up. Joana has a degree in design, and her dream is to be able to do what she loves without limitations. About Hideo Kojima. Mr. Kojima for me is one of those people that have a very unique mind. I do admire his work. He is one of the role models that keep me going wherever I need to go. After my mother's death, I set my priorities and began to seek what the most important thing for me were and determined my path. And for this reason, I would like to thank you, Mr. Kojima, for inspiring me and countless others. I am very grateful for the times when I was feeling down and I played one of your immersive games just to keep me going. Thank you also for making me believe that everything is possible. I hope someday I get good enough to work with you. I wish you the best and please don't stop sharing your ideas with the world. It's really cool to see just how much Kojima has influenced some people and how much his work has gotten some people through hard times. It's really cool to hear these kinds of testimonies, and I hope these people will continue pushing forward. On the right, we have a very cool image of Quiet with these very menacing eyes, and I love the black and white aesthetic to everything. And below that, we have a few other artworks. On the left, It seems to be a sort of 80s inspired Metal Gear Solid 5 poster. And on the right, we have a nice sort of Solid Snake concept art-esque 80s feeling look at the character. Scars everywhere, a lot happening in the background with a blazing fire, something just went down. But yeah, that Solid Snake artwork definitely catches my eye. Very cool, and I hope she will continue to improve her craft. Next up, we have Momo Kishi from Venezuela, my home country. Saludos a Momo Kishi de Venezuela, and you can follow him on Tumblr and ArtStation. Bio: Ricardo Cardozo, aka Momo, is a 24-year-old freelance artist and illustrator from Venezuela. He spends most of his time creating stuff, and that's what he loves the most, drawing sketches and concepts 24/7. Momo learned by himself everything he knows as he studied graphics design, but he left and started to practice in the illustration field in particular. About Hideo Kojima. Mr. Kojima was one of the first persons out there who made me appreciate better video games. In Metal Gear Solid, I saw how Kojima handles his story, characters, and teamed up with a great illustrator who knows what's going on in these stories. To me, the best thing in the series is the identity. The use of science and technology is something that's getting darker and shadier as time goes by. Kojima's other games, like Snatcher, were also great games. I love the plots and designs, and again, those themes that are tricky to handle. Like MGS, Zone of the Enders was a game that made me love the mechas even more, along with the structures, vehicles, and tech things that Shinkawa does so perfectly. Mr. Shinkawa, Mr. Kojima, you have my thanks. And on the right, check this out. It's this interesting artwork of Kojima and Ludens, and this was, I think, before Ludens was revealed, so I think that's part of the reason why the body is so covered up, but it's got this really cool aesthetic to him, and that combination of black and red gives this whole thing a very menacing, badass look to it, especially with the dead animal bones right next to their feet. Very interesting indeed. And check this out. Wow, that is really cool. It's got all the snakes right here, and then on the left we see a sort of very interesting colored version. Each one evokes a different color. We got blue for solid, we got yellow for liquid, we got sort of a greenish color for Solidus, and red for Big Boss. Wow, there's something about this one that really keeps my eyes drawn to it. Very nice job. Next up, we have Oskung from France. And below his name, you'll find all his social media and pages you can check out his work. Bio: Oskung has always had the habit of drawing pretty much everything, but the geek universe is what inspires him most. In 2008, he posted a picture of his first custom on the web, a personal project he made just for fun. Since then, he's received a lot of orders and his works have generated some internet buzz. He now has a few expositions and great collaborations to add to his curriculum. His work consists essentially in mixing geek culture, graffiti, and pop culture. Interesting. About Hideo Kojima, in 2015, I was lucky enough to work with Konami for the release of The Phantom Pain. I'm very proud to have created Fox and Zoff canvases for them, but most of all, I had the immense joy of meeting Hideo Kojima himself to give my works to him. It really was a great honor. Even though we couldn't talk very much, it was big. Sometime later, I was part of an exposition along with many other French and foreign artists for MGS5, the 80s fan art experience. I even had the pleasure of reading that Mr. Kojima retweeted my creations. Again, a great honor. Those two moments, very special to me, make me very proud because I've been a fan of his work for such a long time. And on the right, we have this really interesting sort of action figure. Huh. Oh, I see. It's Big Boss and Kojima put into one. That is really cool. Moving on, we have some... Wow, look at that. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. 80s retro style. And wow, check out the cartridge on the bottom left. Huh. Was that all just drawn with a marker? Yeah, it looks like it. And on the top left, you got a record case with this artwork, with a record itself sort of sticking out. This is really cool. Definitely one of the more unique arts that I've seen. So good job. Next up is RGeek from France. He's got Twitter and Facebook accounts you can follow, and his bio goes as follows. Raphael, also known as RGeek, is passionate about creating his own diorama, an activity he's been practicing for years. He started working with a manga universe, most notably Saint Seiya. Oh wow, talk about nostalgia. But quickly he felt the need to diversify his creations and technique. For a moment he was interested in console customization so that he could get better at the use of the airbrush. But then he went back to his first passion and perfected his skills by creating dioramas from new universes. One of them, very special to him, was Metal Gear Solid. About Hideo Kojima. Started gaming when I was very young and started with his game Metal Gear Solid. Hideo Kojima is a huge inspiration because of his hard work, creativity, and his way of taking us all by surprise and the time without fail. The way he plays with the fans is unprecedented in video game history. For example, when a new game is going to be announced, he throws us off on false leads, gets us exactly where he wants us, and creates a climate of anticipation and stimulation. I cannot wait to see where he will take us in the near future. Thank you, Mr. Kojima, for all these emotional moments that you have given us through your work. Please keep creating. We are all Homo Ludens. And check that out on the right. Wow, that is a very cool diorama of Phantom Pain's mother base. It's got a lot of detail on it. It looks like the real thing, heck. And below that, whoa, that is awesome. So we've got the Sahelanthropus battle diorama on the left. Look at all that detail though. Wow, you can tell this guy's been doing this for many, many years. And on the top right, we have a naked Raiden in that famous or infamous section of Metal Gear Solid 2. And then on the bottom right, we have a look at Venom Snake just owning an Afghanistan soldier. But yeah, this is really cool. I mostly expected, like drawings and artwork and painting, but this diorama thing is something else altogether. Very good job by Argeek from France, and I would love to check out more of his work. This is really well shot, really well made, and again, just lots of detail and just very cool looking. Next up, Rudy Wilde, or Wilde, from France. He's got a website and a DeviantArt, and his bio goes as follows. Rudy Wilde is a self-made artist who built his experience in the world of animation cinema. He has made 2 short films during that time. A few years later, he decided to go freelance. Since then, he has worked with studios such as Old Skull Games, Namco Bandai, Konami, or Gloomy Wood. In 2014, Rudy achieved another project, the creation of a card game, which he achieved through his company Booyah Games. About Hideo Kojima. In a video game industry where creativity and audacity are more and more put aside in favor of financial profits, Hideo Kojima refuses, as he should, to treat the games as some artistically low medium, and has always elevated it to new standards of brilliance, audacity, and creativity. Always exploring new and sometimes hard-to-handle themes and experimenting a lot with uncommon ideas. I think that is what inspires me most in Mr. Kojima's work. Organic work for a high-quality experience, an experience that often goes farther than being a simple game, and actually touches players for a very long time. Yes, I love Mr. Kojima's will, a will to make things as he envisions them, as they should be instead of how they can be, or how the bastards with the money want them to be. Well said. And on the right, check that out, another 80s themed sort of poster or artwork. This one could almost be on the cover of the box for the cartridge, or the cartridge itself, if Phantom Pain was made in the 80s. Very cool indeed. And below that, I mean, wow, check that out. Again, I feel like these could all be either wallpapers or covers, official covers for some of Kojima's work, like Snatcher on the right here, and we've got a cool artwork of Ocelot on the top left, and just a very cool vision, a lot of cool ideas, and just using the retro sort of aesthetic to its full extent. Very cool indeed. Good job, Mr. Rudy Wilde. Next up, we have Salvadore Trakal, and he's got his pages below his name you can visit for his artwork. He's from Argentina, and his bio goes as follows. Salvador was born in Mar del Plata, Argentina in 1989, which was just the right time to be able to watch all the great live-action and animated films of the 80s and early 90s, which themselves ended up being a great influence in his creative life. Video games also influenced him, and it all started with the good old Famicom. Salvador has always liked to draw and paint, and old habits apparently never die, as he doesn't plan on stopping anytime soon. About Hideo Kojima. The first game made by Kojima I had the pleasure of playing was Metal Gear Solid, and what a good way to start. It not only had great movie influences, Escape from New York comes to mind first, and it's one of my favorite movies and character, but it was ahead of its time in terms of mechanics and storytelling. Metal Gear Solid made me want to become an artist because through its artwork, made by Yoji Shinkawa, I understood that I could make a living working as an artist. We are all part of Snake, part of Hideo and his legacy. Thank you, Mr. Kojima, for everything and for what the future holds. On the right is a very cool combination of Raiden, Old Snake, some sort of android motifs with Hideo Kojima himself. Very, very cool. It's sort of a mecha Kojima, which I really totally dig. And at the bottom it says, high intelligence developer, entertainment operations, Hideo. Haha, badoons. Good stuff there. And we got some more artwork here. It's got this very realistic, and also again, I get this sort of cyberpunk 80s feel to this particular set of artworks, which I totally dig. We've got all kinds of characters from Gray Fox, Quiet, the Snakes, some female characters, just wow. Moving on, we have Servan Castillo from the Dominican Republic. He's got 4 websites or social media pages below his name. You can follow him at, and his bio is, Servan Castillo is a 2D animator from New York. He studied animation at the School of Visual Arts and has been drawing and making art since he was 3 years old. Wow, that's pretty young. He's been a big fan of video games and movies, starting out as an illustrator, and after high school, he decided to get into animation. He ended up loving it and making a career out of it. He also began to branch out in the types of mediums he works with, such as sculpture and most recently, 3D character and assets modeling. About Hideo Kojima. Hideo's writing and direction, added to Yoji Shinkawa's art and design, inspired me in so many levels, and it became one of my major influences. And as if Kojima-san couldn't make me happier, he released the Zone of the Enders series, and I just lost it. I still had high hopes for Zone of the Enders 3. I have never met Mr. Kojima, and I hope I do someday. He made part of my wishes come true when he liked and shared 2 of my drawings on Twitter, and I never thought in my wildest dreams that Mr. Director himself would ever enjoy a fan art drawing from me. He is without a doubt a creative and passionate man whose work has inspired and influenced many people, and I wish him the best on his future endeavors with the new Kojima Productions. And on the right we have Ludens. This is of course before Ludens was actually unveiled. This is Servan Castillo's sort of interpretation of what he saw when he saw the Kojima Productions logo. It's definitely a very interesting aesthetic. It definitely looks like a War Machine, Paladin-esque, like Dark Paladin almost aesthetic. And below that, we got some sort of comic-like panels. We see Venom Snake and Quiet, and Miller in the background drinking, I think celebrating Venom's birthday. And below that, we got Pequod being featured. He says, "Be careful down there, boss." And boss says, "Thanks, Pequod." Gives him a fist bump. Below that is none other than Volgan Kuwabara unleashing his electricity right before Snake is thrown overboard the bridge and gets wrecked. And to the right, we have another part of that. We see the boss saying, "In the end, you have to choose whether you're going to live a soldier or just another man with a gun." And there she is disassembling Snake's gun. It's got this very sort of Western newspaper kind of comics aesthetic, except more detailed. And heck, I would read through a story with this kind of aesthetic, so very cool indeed. Next up, we have Sheraz Ali from Norway. He's got a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and his bio goes as follows. Sheraz is a concept artist and animator from Oslo. He studied at Noroff University, where he specialized in 3D design and animation as well as 3D film production. His art is inspired by Yoji Shinkawa's work and is recognized by many as being similar in style, but also influenced by artists such as Kim Jong-ji, Mike Butkus, David Finch, and Patrick Brown. About Hideo Kojima, the moment I discovered a short video clip for the Metal Gear Solid 2 making of, I was set on a new path that truly defined my artistic style. The clip showed Mr. Shinkawa drawing Solid Snake. Not only did it help define my drawing style, but it also inspired me to bring together my love of drawing and my passion for video games. Hideo Kojima himself has influenced me in many ways, from the depth of his game characters to the deep and complicated stories he writes. His way of overcoming boundaries with each project keeps him ahead of his time. It was the release of Metal Gear Solid in 1998 that caught my attention. Metal Gear Solid 2 confirmed the saga was every bit worthy of that attention, introducing a movie influence to video games like never before, even on the case of the game that mentioned Kojima's name like a movie poster would. And on the right, we have an artwork that is indeed very akin to Yoji Shinkawa, although different enough to distinguish the two apart. This is, of course, the end, one of my favorite boss battles in Metal Gear history, one of my favorite characters, short-lived, but just, they did so much cool stuff with him. And below that, we have, wow, look at that, Psycho Mantis and Venom himself. Honestly, the Venom one right there could straight up be official MGS5 artwork by Yoji Shinkawa. That is very cool, just that hint of red on the arm and everything else black and white. Definitely something I feel like Yoji Shinkawa would do. And on the left, of course, the one and only Psycho Mantis. You can't get any better than that boss battle. Very awesome artwork, very cool artistic style. And yeah, I hope he keeps improving and keeps being inspired, and I hope he keeps doing his thing. Sixfrid from Chile is up next. He's got a DeviantArt, Facebook, and Instagram, and his bio goes as follows. Jorge Munoz Silva, an artist also known as Sixfrid, was born in 1988 in Chilean Patagonia. A graphic designer who started working as a freelance illustrator in 2010, he has been involved in national trading card games projects and hopes to work in the field of video games in the future. Among his many influences are 80s movies and, of course, video games. About Hideo Kojima. I grew up with Metal Gear and remember quite well the first time I played Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation. My mind was blown in every way, be it the story or the characters. It was unbelievable. I have been playing every game in the saga ever since. I was particularly inspired by deep and motivational quotes from the characters, my favorite being, "A strong man does not need to read the future, he makes his own." That is a pretty great quote. It's a quote that I keep in mind to pursue my goals. Hideo Kojima is a very influential person to me and many people for being a visionary genius who outdoes himself with every project he works on. I just want to thank him and his team so much for the excellent job they have done and will do. Hideo Kojima, you're the one, big boss. And on the right, we have an awesome, awesome artwork of Gray Fox. Look at all that detail. I love that. It's just the eye that has that red color and everything else is black and white. Very menacing looking, just overall very badass artwork. And then below that we have yet another artist, Tsuchinoko from France. He's got a website and other social media pages you can visit, and his bio goes as follows. Tsuchinoko is a French illustrator, graphics designer, and street artist. He has been working in creative fields since 1994, most notably for many advertising agencies in Paris. He has also been creative director for the French TV channel M6. About Hideo Kojima. I have a deep admiration for Hideo Kojima and his talent. The way he develops the universe and the characters he created is incredible. For almost 30 years, he has been working with Snake, overcoming limits in terms of scenario, gameplay, design, and technique. This alone deserves the utmost respect, as I personally cannot see anyone else achieving that much in the video game industry. It has always fascinated me how much Metal Gear feels like more than simply playing a game. Even though Mr. Kojima is helped in his task by his army of well-trained and capable creatives, he is the man who originally came up with the whole thing, and I often ask myself how he's managed to be and stay so far ahead of his time. Mr. Kojima, thank you for all these emotions you've given us. I can't wait to see how far you'll push the limits with your new projects. And wow, check that out. On the right, it's Skullface. On the back with Venom Snake in front. There's definitely a sense of rivalry there, and it's got this sort of smoky, dark, almost like something etched from a burning fire kind of look to it, which is very, very compelling. And below that, we have, of course, on the left, the very same artwork that was featured in the index, so he's the artist behind that. On the right, we have a closer look at how that was created, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the same guy who created the cover of the Hideo Kojima book. It's got that same art style and texture from what I can see, so I believe it's the same guy who created that, and it is utterly badass. This guy is very talented, and I love that distinct sort of smoky, fiery look to all his artwork. So very cool. I hope he keeps going at it and keeps making awesome content. Next up, we have Vadu Amka from Belgium, and you can check out her content through her website and her Twitter and Facebook. Bio, a graphics artist and visual artist working on consoles, Vadu Amka is passionate about recycling art, conception, and retro gaming. In 2012, she realized that she wanted to customize, or more precisely, that she wanted to bring life back to old machines. Her main influences at first were street art, contemporary art, and glitch art. She is a big fan of everything that is related to the 80s and 90s and is proud of it. About Hideo Kojima. The story between Kojima and myself started on PlayStation 2 with a version of Metal Gear Solid 2 NTSC that I was playing in black and white because the Paratel RGB cable we had was broken. I really fell in love with the studio in 2001 when Zone of the Enders was released. Although I only had a demo of the first 2 levels, I was totally mind-blown by its scenario that reminded me a bit of Evangelion, which helped to make me addicted. This game was beautiful on many aspects, all the way down to even the music. Moreover, it was an action game with RPG elements in the way Jehudi evolved and the missions were managed. It's one of the rare games I picked up back on the PS3 for its HD version, and one of my best teenager memories of PlayStation 2. I owe that to you, thank you, Hideo Kojima. And on the right, we can see Vadu Amka doing her work, which is pretty cool. And below that, we have, wow, check this out, that's really cool. We've got a sort of Zone of the Enders themed Game Boy Advance, and on the right, we've got a sort of Metal Gear Solid 1 themed GameCube, which is appropriate when you consider that Twin Snakes released for that console. But yeah, she does some pretty cool work, basically taking old hardware and sort of bringing new life to them. And moving along, we have cosplay. So that's the artist section, and now we have cosplay, which is a big part of the Metal Gear fan base, so I'm excited to dive into this one. First up, we have Alessandro Di Cesare from Italy. He's got a World Cosplay page and a Twitter and a Facebook, and his bio goes as follows. Alessandro Di Cesare is a 24 years old student from Italy. He currently studies at the University of Bologna and is going to graduate soon in computer engineering. Wow. He's entered the cosplay world almost 2 years ago, visiting his first fair at Lucca Comics and Games, the biggest Comic-Con in Italy. He built 2 costumes on this day, Raiden from Metal Gear Rising and a Protoss Zealot from StarCraft 2. He won competitors with these costumes with Raiden. Awesome. About Hideo Kojima, I think that Kojima did a splendid work. More than a game, not exactly a movie than a film, it's a real piece of art that finds a unique place between the two. In fact, it's difficult to find a saga that lives for more than 20 years as this one has. Mr. Kojima is among the best game designers in the world, and I would like to see more of his future work. It would be an honor for me to meet him one day, maybe at Comic-Con. Thanks to him, I've met a lot of people sharing the love for the Metal Gear series, in particular my other family, the Sons of Metal Gear, an Italian cosplay group. We participate in a lot of Comic-Cons, and we are growing. And holy shit, that is a badass cosplay of Raiden, probably one of the best I've ever seen. And obviously, there's a lot of touching up that was done to make it a little more dramatic, like the sword and how it's sort of got lightning seeping through it. And below that, we can see more of his Raiden cosplay. Ha! The top right is a pretty funny one. He's got the sombrero and everything. Just overall, awesome job to this man for the amount of effort that he put into this cosplay. Next up, Ambra Carrara from Italy. A lot of cosplayers from Italy. And she's got a DeviantArt along with a Twitter and Facebook. And her bio says, Ambra Carrara is an Italian cosplayer from Venice, where she studied fine arts. She likes watching movies, sewing her own costumes, and playing video games. When she was 12, she sewed her first costume by herself for a dance show. Wow, that was what she thinks of as her first cosplay experience, and she enjoyed it a lot. It was at that moment she realized that she could put together everything she had learned, drawing, painting, sewing, to create her own cosplays, and a few years later, it had become a passion. About Hideo Kojima. My admiration for Mr. Kojima started when I saw one of my friends playing Boktai for the first time. I tried the game for a few days and I just thought, wow, it was something I'd never seen before. A few months later, I played my first MGS video game, MGS3. I fell totally in love with the game. It looked like a movie to me. The storyline was very dramatic and intricate, with a lot of cross-references to actual movies. An incredible gaming experience and a new way to play video games. That's what Snake Eater was to me. I like the way Mr. Kojima creates the characters, the female ones especially. They are deep, beautiful, strong, and deadly women. These qualities made me feel so close to the boss that I've paid tribute to her and Mr. Kojima with this very elaborated cosplay. That is an awesome boss cosplay. She happens to be my personal favorite character in the entire saga, so love to see some of the boss being represented in these cosplays. Awesome job there. And next up we have Amie Lynn from USA. She's got a Twitter and Facebook you can follow, and her bio goes as follows. Amie Lynn is a creative goober who loves expressing her favorite franchises through cosplay. My favorite video games are old school JRPGs, survival horror, and tactical espionage. Most of her time is spent creating costumes. She likes gender-bending stuff, her favorite male character getting a makeover and ending up changed into their female counterparts. She can be obnoxiously positive at times. About Hideo Kojima. The Metal Gear franchise feels very personal and intimate to me. The iconic Hideo Kojima moments are inimitable. I don't think we'll ever forget the controller switch or naked, no-handed somersaulting Raiden. They become some of our favorite video game moments and memories. Hideo Kojima, for the same reason, is a huge role model in my life as a creative. I would be so lucky to have half his mindset and work ambition. MGS and Hideo Kojima raised us to believe the unbelievable, to see video games as more than just a cartridge, a disc, a game. Few game franchises have such a dedicated community like this one. I am very honored to be a part of the camaraderie. And on the right, check that out, a female version of Raiden. She did a pretty awesome job there. And below that, I think we have some more stuff we can see. We got Venom Snake in female form. That is certainly very interesting. I know there are some people out there who are contemplating what would Venom Snake look like in female form, because there is no female version you can select in the character creation. But for those who are curious about how that would look like, this could be an interesting look at that. But just overall, awesome job. Lots of details in the costume, and you can tell a lot of effort was put into them. So this is pretty sweet. Next up, we have Andrea Cangiamila from Italy. You can find his Facebook page listed below his name, and his bio goes as follows. Andrea, 24 years old, is from Italy. His greatest passion started almost as soon as he was born. He has always loved to dress the same way his characters had fascinated him, and took pleasure in acting like them. Growing up, he became more interested in secondary characters in video game or comic book stories, those who, in his words, are obscured by the protagonist. Raiden, in his opinion, is one of them, a man with a dark past and a great load of anger, along with complex emotions. When he wears his armor, he feels like he is one with him and these emotions. Hideo Kojima is the Steve Jobs of the gaming world. What he foresaw in the past 30 years, no one else was able to foresee it. He is the very definition of a visionary, one who will carry us all towards a new way of experiencing virtual adventures. I thoroughly enjoy playing a character invented by him, and my biggest dream is to meet him. This is a dream I have since I turned on my first PlayStation with Metal Gear Solid inside. It's like he's always been on the other side of the screen, watching us play. I hope that people like him never stop doing what they do, because what he has created is something that can transcend generations, people's usual tastes, and is able to unite people under the same flag. Thanks, Kojima-san. And on the right, another badass cosplay of Raiden. This one much more intense. You've got this military chopper in the background. Raiden seems to be armed with a gun right there, some kind of rifle. And we can get a better look at that right here. It's almost like a super soldier with Raiden's sort of aesthetic and armor, which is really interesting. But you can see the hair, very much Raiden-esque, and overall just fantastic job, especially with the post-production of the photos. Amazing job with this cosplay. Also lots of details, lots of care put into it. Next up, we have Daniela Covelli from Italy. She has 4 social media pages you can check out her content from, and her bio goes as follows. Daniela is an Italian cosplayer who's been active since 2012. She loves anime, manga, and video games. Most of her cosplays are based on characters from her favorite games. She's completely obsessed with the Metal Gear and Final Fantasy series, and was very happy to be able to cosplay her 2 favorite characters ever, Lulu from Final Fantasy X and Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear Solid. About Hideo Kojima, I have to thank Mr. Kojima a lot for creating such splendid female characters, who unlike a lot of other games aren't just here to be the main character's 2-dimensional supporters, but all around complex women and heroines that I can really admire. I'm really in awe when I think of how Mr. Kojima was able to put his fantastic characters in a predetermined world and how well they worked in it. I can't wait to play again one of Hideo Kojima's games. I'm sure that whatever project he has in mind now will be an enormous success. His immense creativity, his ability to make complex and well-constructed worlds, characters, and storylines. I wish you the best of luck with everything, Kojima-san. And on the right, we have an awesome cosplay of Meryl, a fan favorite for many Metal Gear players, and she did an awesome job with it. The hair, she really nailed, and she's got that badass form about her. And below that, we can see her Sniper Wolf cosplay, which is really cool and badass. Love what she did with the background there and the overall aesthetic. And next to that is none other than Quiet, the sniper deprived of her words. And just, wow, overall, really great work. She managed to pull off all three of these female characters and add their own personality to them. So great work there. Moving on, we have Davide Fasce from Italy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I apologize. He's got a Facebook and Twitter accounts you can follow, and his bio goes as follows. Davide Fasce is a photo model, personal trainer, and an Italian cosplayer who started cosplaying in 2013. He started doing cosplay because of Metal Gear Solid. He started working with agencies that distribute video games in Italy, such as Halifax. He is one of the founders of the cosplay group Sons of Metal Gear, which organizes cosplay events in the main Italy convention. About Hideo Kojima. The stealth genre never really caught my attention. That was the reason why I never played this fantastic adventure before now. In a few months' time, I had finished playing the whole series, and as I went on with every new chapter, my love for the games and Master Kojima and his team grew bigger. This brought me to cosplaying many characters such as Naked Snake, Liquid Snake, Vamp, and Solid Snake from MGS2. To me, Metal Gear Solid is much more than just a simple video game. Kojima, with his touch, managed to make this series even more epic, and I think anyone who owns a console should play at least a chapter of his greatest masterpiece, Metal Gear Solid. I hope that one day I will have the honor to meet Kojima-san and thank him for what he managed to do. And wow, check out that awesome Vamp artwork on the right. You can totally tell this guy's a model. You know, he's got those eyes, the dashing way about him, and he's got that awesome Vamp cosplay going on, of course. I love the little details like the bullet on his head, which is really cool. And here we see him playing as Solid Snake, and I buy the Solid Snake. That's a pretty good look, actually, with the beard and everything, the hair, and just an overall good costume. Good stuff indeed. Next up, Eleonora Castellani from Italy. She's got a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account you can follow, and her bio goes as follows. Eleonora was born in 1988, grew up and studied in Rome after graduating high school. At 19, she decided to leave her parents' house and start working to live as she wanted. This led her to explore life from a different perspective, tougher but more rewarding in her eyes. Her passion for video games and TV series got her interested in cosplay. She met the group she is now a part of, the Sons of Metal Gear. She plays the roles of Eva and Sniper Wolf. About Hideo Kojima. When I was 10, I received my first PlayStation. At the time, it was a brand new world to discover. I began to fall in love with the first video games that had story. Of course, I was destined to come across Metal Gear Solid. It's been more than a decade, but nothing has changed. I'm an absolute fan from start to finish. It doesn't matter how much the technologies evolve or how much the graphic improve, sometimes I need to go back to the origins, to these characters and these emotions that only Hideo Kojima can offer. Every time I play Metal Gear Solid, I learn something new, and I consolidate values like friendship, love, loyalty, honesty, and respect. I will never get tired of this, and every time I meet Solid Snake, it's just like the first time when I was just a kid. On the right, we've got a picture showing a duo of cosplayers. On the right, we have Eleonora in her Eva outfit, which is pretty badass, right alongside Naked Snake on the left. Again, they're part of a group called the Sons of Metal Gear, so they can do collaborations like these, which is really cool and interesting. And here we see some more cosplays as Eva, and just an all-around very solid cosplay. The top left one in particular, we've got a Naked Snake and Eva just kind of glaring at each other in that way that they would in Metal Gear Solid 3. Next up, we have Frank Boss from Italy. Again, lots of cosplayers from Italy, which is pretty cool. And he's got a Facebook and Twitter account you can follow, and his bio goes as follows. Frank is a drummer and a member of a cartoon themes cover band where he dresses up in cosplay for gigs. He never took cosplaying too seriously. To him, it's all about having fun. He's a big fan of the original Big Boss. Frank often tries to improve his cosplays as much as he can by paying attention to details and trying to learn new techniques for developing props or the cosplay itself. When he saw the trailers for MGS5, he decided to make a Venom Snake costume. Konami US found a picture of him and decided to invite him to the E3 2015 in LA, an amazing experience. About Hideo Kojima. I discovered the world of Metal Gear Solid very late. I'm not a gamer, I'm a Metal Gear Saga fan. MGS has woken up some deep emotions in me. Kojima made a saga with such great and interesting characters and such a great story. An important thing for me as a musician is the soundtrack. I know that Kojima-sama is a music addict, and the Metal Gear Saga is made as a great movie with great music. Songs like Snake Eater, Heaven's Divide, Sins of the Father, and all the others let me dive into a dreamlike state during particular moments in every game. If I get the chance to meet him one day, I would like to thank him for all the emotions that his games gave me, for all the people I met, the new friends I made, the new things I've learned. And on the right is his awesome cosplay of Venom Snake. He's pretty much nailed it. I mean, he's got the beard, he's got the hair, and particularly striking for me is the prosthetic arm on the right there. It's very cool looking, very realistic looking, looks like the real deal, and just an all-around very solid, if you will, Venom Snake cosplay. And below that, we can see some more of his work. We've got his Naked Snake cosplay on the right, and more Venom Snake on the left. The top left one in particular, you can see him go nuclear. Just all around great cosplay. The prosthetic arm is one of the hardest things to pull off, and he managed to do it really well. Next up, we have yet another cosplayer from Italy, Fred Casa, who has a Facebook and Twitter account you can check out, and her bio goes as follows. Frederique is a Japanese culture, manga, anime, and video game fan. A hardcore gamer way before the authorized age, she made her first cosplaying attempt in 2010 and loved it so much she doesn't feel like stopping anytime soon. She draws and makes handmade costumes and weapons, but also pursues her passions for acting and theater. The video game industry getting more and more close to the movie industry, she wishes to accomplish her dream of acting a video game character in the future. About Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima was one of the first creators to give the player emotions and a well-paced story in a video game. He's also one of the best at what he does, if anyone else can do what he does. His love for movies is really obvious, and his way of breaking the fourth wall in situations like the Psycho Mantis boss fight is just awesome. Something no movie can do quite like this. A master of drama, playing with emotions and succeeding at it with the help of beautiful theme songs and brilliantly developed characters, these games are intelligent and make you reflect on certain things like no other can. Kojima gave me laughs, tears, rage, my god, the injustice of the boss's end, and they all inspire me as an artist and actress. For all this, thank you, master. And wow, check out that cosplay of Treti Rebionok, the young version of Psycho Mantis. I don't know how she managed to do that floating effect. I think maybe she jumped and they took the picture right at the time she jumped and made it look super perfect, just like she's floating or something. That's pretty cool though. A very nice little detail that takes this cosplay to a whole new dimension. Very awesome job indeed. Lots of details, especially on the hair and on the mask and whatnot, and that straight jacket in particular is very eye-catching. And we have some more cosplay with the rest of the Sons of Metal Gear group, and you can see Treti Rebionok right alongside Quiet and Snake, and being the same old creepy Psycho Mantis we all know and love. Moving on, we have It's Raining Neon from USA. Check out her social media pages for more of her cosplay. Her bio goes as follows. Deanna Davis is an international cosplayer, photographer, designer, and entertainer who uses her numerous talents to focus on bringing to life characters who have inspired her and millions of others through her art. About Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima's vision and art direction has provided years of endless inspiration for me. With the visual aesthetic of the world he has created, its seamless blending of realism and sci-fi elements combined with such a masterfully crafted story, it'd be hard not to be inspired by such an astounding creative vision. The way he tackles such complex interactions, and most of all, incorporating so much real-world relevance in social and political commentary, his games have changed the face of gaming and art forever. And on the right, you can see this awesome, incredible cosplay as Sniper Wolf. The Foxhound insignia on the left is a nice little touch, and overall, it's got that seductive way about her that is iconic of Sniper Wolf. And next up, we got a couple more images of Sniper Wolf alongside Meryl on the bottom left, which is really cool. She also did a great job with the hair and just making sure she added some attitude with each photo. And looking at the Sniper Wolf ones with the blood scattered everywhere, which is, of course, you will remember from Metal Gear Solid 1, man, actually brings back some memories. Makes me feel kind of melancholic, but just awesome job. I mean, I don't know how they do it. Just amazing. Moving on, we have Jack Action from Australia. He's got a Facebook and Twitter account you can follow, and his bio says, based in Sydney, Australia, Jack has portrayed all 5 different Snakes from the Metal Gear Solid series since 2006. Operating his own business, Armored Heaven, since 2010, Jack's company is Australia's largest toy gun retailer. During an IGN Game Awards night of 2013, his father, brother, and he won an Xbox One for Best Costume Group of the Night. Pretty awesome stuff. About Hideo Kojima. I feel Hideo Kojima has achieved creating the greatest game series of all time. I've never met Hideo, but obviously wish to have the honor of doing so. I would love to have his signature on some of my toys. Hideo Kojima's impact on gaming is huge. I personally think that with MGS 1 through 4, he and his team mastered the perfect blend of cinema and gaming. It feels good to be able to spend all day immersing oneself into the series and absorbing all the information that is contained within just one of the games. Mr. Kojima, thank you very much for developing such an amazing franchise. You have certainly made a lifelong loyal fan out of me, and I would love an opportunity to meet the team to say this in person. And on the right, you can see his awesome Naked Snake cosplay. Love the face paint that he's using, and he's right next to the boss herself, which is pretty badass. And we have some more images here. Wow, that's a really interesting one of Solidus. This one's definitely one of the hardest ones to pull off, considering the suit that Solidus wears, and I think he did a great job bringing that to life. And we can see Snake on the left, Venom Snake himself, inside the chopper, which is a nice little touch. And on the bottom left, we've got Venom Snake with the iDroid. Just a lot of nice little touches in these cosplays. You can tell a lot of effort was put into them, so awesome job. Next up, John Karate from, guess where, Italy. And he's got a Twitter account you can follow, and his bio goes as follows. John Karate, a computer technician, has always tried to do the best he could in life. Being honest, fighting for what he believes in, keeping his spirits and morals even in difficult times. As an artist and gamer, he decided to get into cosplay. His hero, Naked Snake. It's a good hero to have. About Hideo Kojima. When I finished Snake Eater for the first time, I thought, I want to be Snake. Not like Snake, but he himself. I do not know how many times I finished it, how many times I tried to find all the little secrets, details in the setting, the story of the characters, the plot of the game with a historical reality. And then John, betrayed by everyone, even his own country, finds the strength to go forward, always until the end. One day, someone told me, you know, you look like Big Boss with that beard. Today, many people call me Boss, and if one day I was in front of Hideo Kojima, I'd probably do a military salute and give him my sincerest thanks for the story, for the characters that you have created, and for Snake, who's shown me the way to be a man. This time featuring Snake with the Roketo Punch bionic arm, which is pretty freaking awesome. And overall, I mean, these cosplays are just on point. Awesome job by these fans. And we can see more here. Naked Snake on the left. That one's actually really, really good. He's got the mullet, he's got the hair, he's got the look, he's got the eyes, he's got that pose. Very good. And on the right, you can see him doing the pretty good pose, which is really funny. And more Venom Snake on the bottom 2 pictures. Nice little touch on the bottom right one with Pequod in the background and the desert and everything. Next up, we have Luke Nakamura from Italy. He's got a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page you can check out, and his bio says, when Luke was a child, when someone asked him what he wanted to be when he grows up, his answer was, I want to be Solid Snake. Luca, better known as Luke Nakamura, is an Italian cosplayer, MGS fan, and a mechanical designer. During the last years, he used his skills to make sci-fi items and technologies from video games and movies, especially from Metal Gear Solid. About Hideo Kojima. With Metal Gear, I learned that we must take control of our lives and fight for what we believe in. I learned the importance of our actions for the next generation because what we do today is what our children will learn from us tomorrow. For a lot of people, Metal Gear is not just a game but a real-life lesson. Hideo Kojima brought the attention of young people to the revolutionary concepts of Orwell. He has helped waking up the mind of a sleeping world, a world where only money is valued, not art, principles, and will. I built my entire life on these principles, and in good or bad moments, I know that I'm doing the right thing. I really hope to meet Hideo Kojima one time, but I'll probably not be able to say anything articulate, except for a great big thank you. And on the right, wow, check that Solid Snake cosplay out. The jacket in particular is really impressive, lots of details. The hair is also spot on. The colors are really well balanced. And below that, we have on the right a really cool poster style cosplay featuring Solid Snake and Liquid. I think he cosplayed as both and then sort of did a little bit of Photoshop magic and added this really cool effect. Awesome job indeed. On the bottom left is Eli, young Liquid Snake, and he's all grown up, but the jacket was really well made, very cool. Never be game over with a pig and everything. And on the top left is that one moment we all remember from MGS3 Snake Eater when Naked Snake salutes to the boss. Moving on, we have Mark Wesker from Italy, and he's got a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram you can follow. His bio goes as follows. Mark Wesker was born in Pisa on March 23rd, 1990, and started doing cosplay at Luca Comics in 2007. He enjoys comic books, movies, and video games. He also very much likes fantasy, especially vampire themes. He always cosplays the villain because he finds them more fascinating and usually deeper than the heroes. Let's face it, a great hero is nothing without a great villain. I do have to agree with that. About Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima is a genius. I've loved the Metal Gear saga ever since I played it for the first time, and even though they are great games that deal with very complex subjects, spies, betrayals, conspiracies, science fiction, they manage to convey emotions and even make you cry at times. Yes, I cried when I finished Snake Eater. I cried when I killed the boss, my favorite character. Ironically, before Ground Zeroes. I had never done a MGS villain cosplay, but when I saw Skullface, it hit me, and I started working right away on the costume. I really love Skullface. I travel the world with my cosplay, and I have to thank Hideo Kojima for that. Thank you, Master. Thank you for all the emotions and all the fun that you gave me. And on the right, there it is. I mean, wow, that is an impressive cosplay of Skullface. I wonder how he managed to pull off the face. I'm sure there's some kind of material you can use to add different shapes to your face and then blend it all together to make that effect. But I mean, that is pretty badass. He's even got the shotgun on the bottom left. You can see it sort of holstered, and the keys dangling next to his belt. And I really love the fox mug that he has right next to the XOF insignia. Overall, lots of cool little details, and the face and the mask and the very, very impressive cosplay of Skullface, who's probably one of the hardest ones to pull off. We can see more pictures down here. The top left one in particular, holy shit, that pretty much looks like it's straight from the game. Incredible, incredible cosplay right there. We've got a few more shots on the other corners, and I mean, what else is there to say? This is probably the best Skullface cosplay I have ever seen, so awesome job to this person for working so hard on this and bringing Skullface to life faithfully. Next up, we have Meryl Sama from Italy. She has a Facebook, DeviantArt, Twitter, and Instagram you can follow, and her bio goes as follows. Meryl Sama is an Italian cosplayer and model. Gaming has always been her biggest passion since she was little, and that's why most of her cosplay work is based on video games. An active and kind person who values friendship and trust above anything else, Meryl is always ready to learn new things and make new experiences. About Hideo Kojima. There are two things in particular that all Metal Gear games have in common, and that I fell in love with. First is the story, not only the main common plot. Second is how female characters are so perfectly portrayed. Each woman has her own specific personality and traits. In the whole saga, no female character is the same as another, and this is sadly uncommon in video games. These are the reasons why I enjoy cosplaying as so many characters from the Metal Gear universe. I really admire Mr. Kojima for what he has done for the video gaming world, and I firmly believe my beloved passion wouldn't be the same without his genius. I can't wait to follow and support more of his works in the future. And check that out on the right. I mean, what a great cosplay of Quiet herself. The costume has pretty much been nailed down to the T. You even got little details like the grenades on the belt, and just overall great work with this one. You can see more below that. You got some Peace Walker characters, including Dr. Strangelove and Cecile, and we have all... And we've also got Meryl, who she also did a great job with. Again, I think the cosplayers do a really good job of giving each photo, each cosplay their own personality, and it just shows through really well. Next up, we have Milena Vigo, also from Italy. She's got a website, a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and her bio can be read as follows. Milena Vigo is an actress and cosplayer who loves video games as much as one can. She has worked for TV spots, independent movies, music videos, and for many different events with the most famous video game producers such as Capcom, Konami, Deep Silver, Bethesda, and Ubisoft since 2008. The first cosplay she ever made was Eva from the third chapter of Metal Gear Solid, just because she really loved Snake Eater and this character in particular. Now she enjoys crafting her cosplays, sewing and building props and dresses. About Hideo Kojima, I've loved Metal Gear since I was young and played the first one. More than a game, it was a playable movie with unique gameplay and gimmicks. The background that Kojima created was so original, mixing the old war technologies and the new ones, depicting characters that all had a story that weren't shallow. Metal Gear was full of emotions. I am very thankful for all it's given me. Thank you, Mr. Kojima. Thanks for all. And on the right, we can see the Eva cosplay, the jumpsuit and everything. I don't know where you get a jumpsuit like that, but yeah, it exists, I suppose. And this cosplayer makes use of all these assets and brings it together to form a really awesome Eva cosplay. So great job. And I think we see more stuff here that she did, including a quiet cosplay. And on the bottom right, we see a close-up of Eva doing her Chinese-style wrist-twisting form of shooting, which is a nice little detail. Just another fantastic cosplay from Italy. Next up, we move on to France. Nathero from France. He's got a Facebook and Twitter. His bio goes as follows. Nathero has always tried to be good at everything. He has practiced martial arts from all over the world. He has also practiced piano, drawing, rollerblading. Nathero thinks of the Bushido culture as an inspiration for his lifestyle, as, in his opinion, being conscious that death is inevitable brings the need to always perfect himself. His aim, in his own words, is almost perfect. I began playing Metal Gear pretty late. To be honest, I started when MGS4 came out. It was as an adult, when I debuted my career in cinema, that I decided to try anything and everything even remotely related to movies. It was during this peculiar period that I got into the Metal Gear Solid saga and discovered Raiden. The second time I met Mr. Kojima at an event for the 25th year anniversary of the saga, I was very impressed because he was so humble. Metal Gear Solid is to me the first game that managed to slip between video games and movies. It's because of games like these that people don't treat you like a child for playing games. My team, Foundation Pictures, and myself are currently thinking about making a spin-off focusing on Raiden's evolution. To achieve this, we invested a lot so that we can offer a Hollywood blockbuster quality to the project and reach as many people as possible. We want to give back to MGS for what MGS gave us. We want people who never played a Metal Gear game to try them and understand the messages Mr. Kojima and his teams expressed in them. Finally, we want to put an end to the idea that video games are inherently violent. On the right, we are shown a pretty damn impressive cosplay of Venom Snake with the Phantom Pain sneaking suit. A lot of detail on things like the vest. He's got this awesome looking weapon and the scars on his face and the hair, the horn, everything's just a lot of thought was put into this. And below that, we can see some really cool shots of Venom Snake in action. This guy mentioned he did martial arts, and you can kind of see that coming into play here. And you can tell he's pretty good at it too, because his form is actually pretty spot on. I actually did some martial arts myself, and one way to differentiate between people who know martial arts and who don't is their form, and he's got really good form, and these pictures are just pretty dynamic and badass looking overall. Especially the one on the bottom right with D-Dog and Venom Snake, that's really cool right there. Moving along, we have Nick Taylor from the UK. He's got Facebook and Twitter accounts you can follow, and his bio goes as follows. Nick is a huge Metal Gear Solid fan and cosplayer based in Liverpool, UK. His first cosplay was the Sorrow, but now he prefers to do it as Psycho Mantis. He's followed the game and Hideo Kojima ever since, attending signings, collecting as much memorabilia and merchandise as he could, and of course supporting and meeting with Kojima-san on any occasion he could. His prized possession would have to be MGS1 Premium Package, signed by Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa. About Hideo Kojima. To say Hideo Kojima is an inspiration to me is a massive understatement. Video games can be many things, in their most basic form, a form of entertainment. They can be an escape, an emotional investment, and a form of art. Kojima-san is one of the very few incredibly talented individuals who consistently brings all of these aspects together in his work. I had the privilege of representing Kojima Productions for the pre-launch event of Ground Zeroes at the Inside Games event for the BAFTAs. This was the second time I had the chance to meet Kojima. I was wearing my Psycho Mantis cosplay, and despite him being busy and crowded with dozens of fans wanting pictures, autographs, or just a chance to actually say they've met him, he smiled at me and took a picture of us both, and that moment made it all worth it for me. Holy crap, that is a terrifyingly awesome cosplay of Psycho Mantis. We got a look at the young Psycho Mantis before. This is the older Psycho Mantis from MGS1, and this is like spot on. Holy crap, this is amazing. And you know, Psycho Mantis being one of my favorite boss battles and all, this certainly brings back a lot of memories, lots of nostalgia there. And below that, you can actually see him taking a picture with Kojima himself and just donning that Psycho Mantis costume like a boss. Awesome job all around. Moving on, we have Omi Gibson from Japan. She's got a Facebook and a Twitter, and her bio says, Omi Gibson is a Japanese cosplayer who's famous because of her relation with Hideo Kojima. She started the activity of cosplay in early 1990. For a lot of European cosplayers, she's the best MGS cosplay ever. About Hideo Kojima, it all started for me with Snatcher in 1992 on PC Engine. It was the first time I put hands on a set of Hideo Kojima. It was from that moment that my life cosplayer became head of Kojima Universe. Shortly after came Policenauts, and again I loved playing there. Rich of all the good time spent in front of my screen, I decided to put in cosplay, putting myself in the shoes of my favorite characters. I have since had the great honor of being the guest of Hideo Kojima for the transmission of Radio Hide-Can number 131, but also at the Tokyo Game Show to represent the universe of MGS Peace Walker. Thank you for all that, Mr. Kojima. Hot damn, that is a pretty impressive cosplay of the boss on the right. The costume in particular, like the texture and the look of everything is just really spot on. Although this is definitely like a spookier version of the boss with the hood and everything, almost like a Dark Lord Sith version of the boss, but still awesome costume, awesome details like the scar throughout the body. And below we can see some more cosplays that this individual did. We've got the boss on the top left, Olga on the top right. We've got just sort of an MSF soldier on the bottom left, which, wow, the shield itself is really freaking cool, and the costume overall is spot on. All the little details are there, from the balaclava all the way down to the boots that she's using, to the golden rings and those little circle things that you find throughout Metal Gear Solid sneaking suits. And on the bottom right is this sort of interesting take on Raiden, who's wearing sort of civilian clothes, but the head is clearly cybernetic. It's got that classic Raiden look. But just, yeah, overall, a very impressive set of photos, a very impressive set of cosplays. This boss one in particular is really impressive for me because, again, I'm just such a huge fan of the boss. Onwards we go. We have another person from Japan, S. Raiki. She's got a Twitter account and a cosplay website, and her bio goes as follows. A cosplayer from the Tokai region, she has actually met Hideo Kojima at TGS 7 years ago while she was doing an MGS2 cosplay. She's currently doing a cosplay of Ocelot from MGS5, but she does cosplay from other franchises as well. She is one of many who enjoys all of Kojima's games. About Hideo Kojima, I love Policenauts, Snatcher, and MGS, and out of all of Kojima's games, I really love the MSX Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 so much so that I went out of my way to procure them, and the walls of my room are all decorated with posters from the Metal Gear Solid series. I'm not very good at video games, so even though I see the game over screen many times, I really want to see the continuation as if you were being sucked into a compelling movie. This also influenced in me a feeling of never giving up. Even in a story that makes you think, I really appreciate all the small in-jokes from each playthrough of the game, that it's something you can never get bored of, and I am very thankful for that. I really appreciate each and every one of the characters, and I am captivated by their lifestyle so much that I really wish my friends around me would try Kojima's franchises. I'm looking forward to your latest project in the reborn Kojima Productions. And on the right you can see a pretty good Ocelot cosplay actually. The outfit, the scarf, the guns, And the mustache, the beard, the fake beard, the hair, a lot of intricate details, a lot of effort was put into this. And below that, we see Ocelot doing his typical sadistic Shalashaska thing, torturing a soldier. But overall, very impressive. Next up, we have Mayo0917, also from Japan, and she's got a Twitter account and a cosplay page, and her bio goes as follows. A cosplayer from the Kansai region, her cosplay history spans 10 years, but she is new to Metal Gear cosplay. She only has one MGS cosplay under her belt, but she always wanted to cosplay as Snake, and she finally did it last year. She would definitely like to have the opportunity to cosplay like this again. About Hideo Kojima. We all know that there are many Snakes, but I only knew about this fact since last year, and as such, I'm a beginner. I've played MGS1 when I was young, and then suddenly jumped to TPP last year. For someone who doesn't know about the previous works, I really enjoyed it a lot. Sneaking around, defeating enemies, and then Fultoning them all away, or head-shooting them from far away is very refreshing. My favorite character is Big Boss, but I really love Venom Snake as well. I feel that the thoughts of the two guys who accompany Snake throughout his adventures is very exciting. I guess I have to go play the older games in the series now. I'm looking forward to Kojima's future projects. And on the right, you can see what's actually a very impressive cosplay of Venom Snake. I honestly would not be able to tell that's a female dressing a snake. It looks like a Japanese version of Venom Snake, if you will. Next up, Sulian Miles from France. She has a Facebook and Twitter, and her bio goes as follows. Roxanne, also known as Sulian Miles, has been dreaming for 28 years. She expresses these dreams through art, more particularly drawing, attracted to video game and manga designs. Before she became a hardcore gamer, it was piano she loved to play. Cosplaying, drawing, role-playing, and modeling have allowed her to enjoy varied experiences and define her tastes little by little. About Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima is a genius, a great storyteller, and a man with the audacity that pays every time. I hope that in a few decades, people will still talk about him. Casting Stephanie Houston for the role was perfect, and his ideas for Quiet as a character, with her Rorschach-like butterfly eyes, were enough for me to go all in with the latest game. I'm happy MGS5 came out and found or created its public. A longtime fan of the series, the stealth approach presented a new kind of challenge, and the characters had a lot of personality on top of being sexy. I don't regret playing the series. I also don't regret playing Quiet through cosplay and getting the opportunity, thanks to Tarak, Chami, and the MGS France group, to meet and play a duo with Stephanie Houston. Thank you all. Thank you, Hideo Kojima, with your creative madness and delirious ideas. You've been able to provoke real passion inside of each of us. How about trying movies? A Hideo Kojima movie. That is certainly an interesting prospect. But yeah, check out the cosplay on the right. They went all out, going to a desert-like environment and everything. The hair, the stockings, the gloves, just everything. Everything is just beautiful in this cosplay. The grenades, the pouches. I mean, lots of kudos to these people. And we can see more down here. The one on the top left is one that I have seen before via Twitter. I don't remember if it was Kojima who retweeted it or Konami, but I was very impressed right there and then. And we get some more close-ups on the rest of the images. You've got D-Dog and everything on the bottom right. The sniper, just lots of details on it. Very legit looking, though I'm sure it's fake on some level. Who knows? But I mean, cosplay just doesn't get any better than this. Just an amazing job. Moving on, we have Suru Denise from Germany. She's got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube pages you can check out, and her bio says, Denise is a student, cosplayer, and artist from Germany. Her goal is to travel the world, learn about different cultures, and work in the video games or movie industries. Other than that, she just loves traveling, watching movies, playing games, and food. About Hideo Kojima. I've been a fan of the MGS series ever since I saw MGS1 on the PlayStation when I was 5 years old. Mr. Kojima's games have been a huge part of my life ever since, and I've met many people and made new friends through the MGS community. His games always have a meaning behind them, and I learned a lot from them growing up. I love the characters he creates, and I enjoy bringing them to life through cosplay. I hope to continue doing so in the future. I've never met Mr. Kojima personally, but if I ever do, I would like to thank him for his creations and support. I'm looking forward to Death Stranding, and I will always support him and his team as a fan, as a supporter, and as a friend. And on the right, we have a very cool look at Suru Denise's version of Eva. Just again, they go all out with these cosplays, with the goggles and the jumpsuit, even getting just the right type of gun and everything, the hair, super impressive. And we can see more of her work below here. Venom Snake on the motorcycle. We've also got Venom Snake in some kind of building that resembles some of the buildings you can find scattered throughout Afghanistan, so that's a nice little detail. You can see things like the horn, and on the right, just a casual Diamond Dog shirt. That's a pretty nice shirt, actually. And that concludes all of the cosplayers. Now we're going to dive into communities. These are basically websites, or as the name states, communities dedicated to Metal Gear and their message for Hideo Kojima. Let's begin by taking a look at this excerpt from MetalGearSolid.be. It's a pretty awesome website. I've gotten a lot of interesting information from them throughout the development of Metal Gear Solid 5 and whatnot. Unfortunately, their articles are in French, which is a language that I don't speak, but for people who can, check out the website, and there is all kinds of Metal Gear Solid updates. And here is their excerpt. They say, the MetalGearSolid.be community and website was created by a young man who dreamt of becoming a comic illustrator. The website's creator has been rewarded for his persistence and tenacity, as 10 years after founding the community, he got an exclusive interview with Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa in Paris. For him, it was a dream come true. The interview was the best part of this adventure. The most surprising thing to me was that they were very kind, patient, and modest. I was a simple fan interviewing superstars for the readers of the website, and I could hardly hold the mic properly. Despite them having numerous interviews with professionals and the specialized press, Kojima-san and Shinkawa-san answered all of my questions with great care. Mr. Kojima is a very funny man, which made me feel comfortable. Like many other fans in the community, Metal Gear Solid significantly changed a part of my life. More than a video game, it's an experience that stays with you long after you turn off the console. Metal Gear Solid also makes you watch a lot of movies if you want to see the inspirations behind it. For all of the unforgettable years for Metal Gear, thank you, Mr. Kojima, and thanks to the brilliant team you directed. I'm sure all of our readers and the people involved with the website are eager to see what you come up with next. Moving on, we have Eklecty City. The website is www.eklectycity.fr, so another French website. Thomas Oat is the founder and the chief editor of eklectycity.fr website. Born in 1987, the year Metal Gear came out, Thomas started animating Metal Gear fan forums on the internet when he discovered the series with Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation. For several websites related to Hideo Kojima and his saga, Eklecty City is the product of his experience, a website dedicated to cinema, video games, and pop culture. For Thomas, there wouldn't be an Eklecty City if there hadn't been Metal Gear. I remember the first time I played Metal Gear was in 1999 on an afternoon that I wouldn't forget anytime soon. The trailer for MGS was shown on TV with a sequence where Snake arrives to the docks. It was a shock. The game had all the codes that are usually seen in movies. I recall saying, "This was made for me, I need it." The week the game came out, I sold 2 of my other games to buy it. It was worth every cent. Metal Gear Solid was like discovering a whole new world. The more I progressed in the game, the more I was amazed at all the mechanics, scenes, and features that it had. It was my first experience with a fourth wall, and it made a memorable impression. Fiction had just mixed with reality. Another thing related to MGS I have to talk about is the people. I have met many people, some in professional context, others because we became friends. I've met a lot of great people thanks to Metal Gear. Hideo Kojima has entertained us, made us question ourselves and our vision of the world. There is a very special connection between the fans and Mr. Kojima. Maybe because everyone can find things in his games that are related or echo with their life. It's the beauty of Metal Gear. Thank you, Hideo Kojima, for the hours of play, these question marks, the people I've met. Metal Gear players are very lucky. We are homo ludens. We are indeed. Next up, Metal Gear Informer. This is a great website that is just always on top of Metal Gear news. You guys should totally check it out if you get the chance. If you just want the news direct, straight up, on time, Metal Gear Informer is for you. And here is what they have to say. Founded in 2012, Metal Gear Informer started out essentially as a Metal Gear fan site, but since the split between Konami and Kojima, it also focuses on Kojima's new ventures. Aside from the latest Metal Gear and Kojima news, you can find analysis, close-up looks at various pieces of merchandise, such as soundtrack CDs and art books, top lists, and articles focusing on the most memorable moments of the series. For 30 years, Hideo Kojima has been challenging the ideas of what a video game can be with the out-of-the-box approach, high-quality cinematic storytelling, and exploration of complex themes. There is an idea, a vision behind practically any aspect of his creations. It makes them stand out even after 3 decades. Being a Kojima fan means never really knowing what you're going to get. Kojima makes a point of seeing things from different perspectives, finding new ways to look at something, new experiences. Perhaps that is one of the reasons so many people are always interested in what he's up to. With our website, we hope to have created an environment for these people to come together, while at the same time sharing our own views and interpretations on the series. Over the years, we have accumulated a Metal Gear collection consisting of, aside from the games, premium packages, soundtracks, art books, and more. We had the chance to meet Kojima and get his autograph during the 2008 World Tour of Metal Gear Solid 4. Kojima has changed the way we look at video games and made us obsessed enough with his universe to create a whole website dedicated to the Metal Gear franchise and his games in general. We hope he will continue to surprise and delight gamers around the world with his future projects, and along with our deepest thanks, we wish him all the best with his new studio. Moving along, we have Metal Gear News. It is also a French website, and they have this to say. Metal Gear News, originally known as Metal Gear Concordance, began as a little Facebook fan page. The idea of the group, outside of sharing passion for Metal Gear, is also to introduce and support a great number of talented illustrators, cosplayers, and artists. Their works gravitate around the Metal Gear universe. The Metal Gear News team takes great pleasure in talking with professionals, but above all, take pride in giving some light to lesser-known people who deserve to be heard and to be better known for their amazing work. Hideo Kojima is a creator who has a hand in many fields and takes great pleasure in playing with the player. Hideo Kojima is also a gameplay inventor. Who would have thought that a technical limitation could be used to create the stealth genre, leading to what we know today? Who would have thought that every Metal Gear game would enrich its gameplay to finally end up with the perfection of MGS5s, all of that deriving from an MSX game? Kojima-san, above all, is a storyteller. Every one of his games gets us all emotional. Every one of his games feature incredibly deep characters. The saga story, made of bits and pieces we stick together to see the big picture, is extremely rich, every episode questioning everything we thought we knew about the president. Mr. Kojima didn't just create the biggest video game saga of all time, but also for some, a lifestyle. For all these reasons, and on behalf of the entire Metal Gear News community, it is with great honor that we take part in this project and tell you with the utmost and sincerest respect, thank you, Mr. Kojima. Next up, we have Python Selkin, theorist extraordinaire, best known for his Gray Fox and body double theories, and while the Gray Fox aspect didn't pan out, they certainly deserve credit for foreseeing the body double aspect to MGS5 Phantom Pain, and their videos are just really well edited and entertaining to watch, so check their videos out if you're interested in their theories. Here's what they had to say about Kojima. Python and Selkin are two brothers from Malta in a tiny country in the Mediterranean. They started YouTubing in 2007, editing videos, trailers, and gameplay montages, mainly for the MGS, Assassin's Creed, and Uncharted franchises. However, fans might know them best from their recent 3-year journey where they thoroughly analyzed the much-anticipated sequel for a little franchise the world knows as Metal Gear Solid. Ever since we were kids, we have always been deeply astonished by the immersive storyline and cinematic value which the MGS series is famous for. In our eyes, the exceptional storytelling is unmatched by any game series. All of this was possible thanks to a certain mastermind the world knows as Hideo Kojima. Mr. Kojima is a brilliant innovator who has always inspired us in every project we have worked on. Our series of detailed analysis videos for Metal Gear Solid aren't presented in a simple, straightforward manner, because we always add our own cinematic style to them by featuring a plethora of MGS soundtracks, background ambient sounds, quotes, voiceover dialogue, and cutscenes, along with other editing effects such as MGS4-like flashbacks, all to immerse our viewers into the MGS atmosphere which they enjoy so much, while sharing our analysis discoveries and thought-provoking theories, based on over 20 years of long-time knowledge of the Metal Gear series. Our analysis videos are non-profitable and are all made out of pure love for this franchise, from MGS fans for MGS fans. Everything Mr. Kojima does is for the fans, and we're certain that he will never do anything that lets them down, unless there's a good reason behind it. That's what keeps us going. What we do today is the direct consequence of Mr. Kojima's awesome, well-thought, and rich work. We wish him the best, and we hope he continues on his path. We'll be right behind him. The next excerpt comes from none other than Shadow Moses, who many of you may recognize as the guys behind the Shadow Moses game, the Metal Gear Solid remake that was canceled, and the team had this to say about Hideo Kojima and his games. The group fan legacy Metal Gear Solid, previously known as Shadow Moses, was created by Canary Islands-based fan Iram Hernandez. The objective of this community project is to pay tribute to the saga, and it features all kinds of fan artwork by a fan, for fans, and dedicated to share the love for their favorite series. The community has great times ahead of it. As a creator of the community, I wanted to address a few things and memories to Mr. Kojima in the name of our group. Personally, I've grown with Metal Gear Solid. As a kid, I wasn't fast enough during Ocelot's torture scene and finished the game with Meryl dead and me crying. Later, when I grew up and managed to save her, it felt so happy. I was in that really geeky state thinking, it's okay babe, I came back for you. Time just makes you stronger, I guess. Good things take time to get, and you don't always make it on your first try, at least that's how I see it. Anyway, this part, along with other special moments, are what I, and I'm sure many people, love about the game. Mr. Kojima's work is a piece of art which deserves to stay alive and be passed on from generation to generation. Naomi was right when she said, when the torch is passed on from parent to child, it extends beyond DNA. Information is imparted as well. All I want is to be remembered by other people, by history. Well, sticking to that metaphor, Mr. Kojima, we are happy to be your children. Our community thanks you profusely for bringing us the best saga ever created. We all wish you the best of luck on future projects. We'll be waiting. Next community member is Solid Snake/Fingers, and he had this to say. The Solid Snake page's admin is 29 years old Jeremy Belcher. Based in Virginia and very active, a music producer known as Fingers, he creates video game-inspired original music, as well as video game music remixes, parodies, and mashups. The Solid Snake group itself creates content, promotes artists of the Metal Gear fandom, and engages in discussion every day with fans all over the world. As of now, the page is the largest unofficial MGS page on Facebook with 111,479 likes and growing. Fingers himself has done over 35 Metal Gear remixes. Hideo Kojima has had a huge impact on my life, not only as a gamer and a musician, but as a person. His smart directing style, nods to classic films and other media, meta that you could talk about for days, along with his need to mess with players' heads, make it feel like more than a game. He's changed my overall view of the world and how people should treat one another. The Metal Gear series teaches us that we can't allow ourselves to be chained to fate and to fight for what we believe in. It's also taught us to not believe everything you are told and to question your moral compass. I feel like out of any video game director, Hideo Kojima is the only one that's actually made me think about a series more after playing it than during the time I was playing it. Our community is full of people with experiences similar to mine. Everyone has found something special and personal in the games. Our community joins me in my deep and respectful thanks to Mr. Kojima. May he keep doing this thing for many years to come. May he keep doing this thing for many years to come. Last but not least, for community member, we have the Sons of Metal Gear, the group of cosplayers we've seen throughout this video, throughout this book. They had this to say. Sons of Metal Gear is the first Italian MGS cosplay group, founded in 2014 after the biggest Comic-Con convention in Italy, Lucca Comics and Games. The purpose of the community is to pay tribute to Mr. Kojima and his saga, enlisting the most talented and creative MGS cosplayers in Italy. The goal is to involve as many people as possible to create the biggest community ever, and doing so, the members hope to act in the interests of Mr. Kojima and his values as they try to create the biggest network possible, covering every area of common interest about Metal Gear. They all love the saga and do all they possibly can to make it more real, choosing very carefully each member to make sure everyone on the team has a good knowledge of the franchise, the same passion, and that everyone plays the perfect role in the projects. It's very important for them to be represented in this book, as they are always doing the best they can, not asking a single dollar, only for their passion. This group is united by a feeling of gratitude towards Hideo Kojima and his team. We would like to thank Mr. Kojima for creating this wonderful parallel, but quite accurate and close to reality, world which has no equal in the history of video games and is inspirational enough for us to recreate many scenes of our favorite chapters the best way possible. We gather from all over Italy for Metal Gear to give life to its characters. This is our heartfelt thank you, Kojima-sama. Kojima Kaminandes. And below that, we see a list of all of the Sons of Metal Gear members who are grateful to Mr. Kojima and who want to convey this message, which is really awesome. And that is it for communities. And finally, the final section of this book is guests. First up, we have Carolyn Quintain, animator, freelance, game blog, France. Hideo Kojima is a brilliant artist, a creator of story, a dream maker. With Metal Gear, he created a complex universe, rich and full of characters on their torturous road through life. With this one-of-a-kind series, Mr. Kojima has earned his place in the history of video games. He's one of the figureheads of the industry and much more. One of those who made me love video games. He likes to confuse and surprise the player when he least expects it. He goes into unexplored territories where many wouldn't dare go. Yes, Hideo Kojima is different, and this difference has allowed him to build a special kind of relationship with the players. To me, he's an inspired sculptor, a puppeteer, the conductor of an elegant orchestra. He is all these things to me. He's a brilliant, nonconformist, a very, very talented man. And for having shined like the sun on my life as a gamer, I only have one thing to tell him. Thank you, Hideo Kojima. Thank you for being what you are and for giving such beauty to video games. Next up, we have Dante Carver, an actor in the US. And for those who don't know, he played some of the soldiers in Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. And he had this to say: Metal Gear Solid Touch promo was when I first met Hideo Kojima. I've played and owned his games since they came out, but meeting and working with Hideo has been amazing. He's on a creative level of his own and brings out the best in his production crew members too. Being part of the games is fantastic, but being friends and working with him has been an honor and a privilege. Here's to the future. Dante Carver, aka TGS Drebin / MGS5 Doom Kangaroo. Next up, we have Donna Berg, who, of course, we all know as the singer extraordinaire who gave us Heaven's Divide and Sins of the Father, just an amazing vocalist, an amazing person, and she had this to say: We all know I have only played a total of 10 minutes of the entire Metal Gear Solid series. It's way too scary for me. I'm grateful I'm still a member of the MGS community, thanks to being given the chance by Hideo Kojima to sing not one but several iconic songs. Here's to you, Kojima-san, thank you so much. Next up is Eshpan Man, fan from Singapore. 11 years ago, when I was in middle school, my classmate introduced me to this game called Metal Gear Solid 3. As soon as I bought the game, I immediately started playing the game and I couldn't stop. It was nothing like I've ever experienced in my life. Ever since that day, I've become a fan of Hideo Kojima and all his wonderful works. You inspire all of us to be better versions of ourselves, to experience all sorts of culture, to broaden our horizons. Your boldness to do what others dare not inspired me to work towards my dream of becoming a voice actor. Thank you for each and every wonderful moment you have given us throughout all your games. They are experiences I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Let us pursue our dreams to the fullest. I hope one day I'll be able to voice a character you have created. To be able to work with the man who has given you your dream would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I will do my best as a fan and as a professional to one day inspire people just like you. Thanks for everything you've done until now. I'm looking forward to see what you have in store for us with Death Stranding as well as the new Kojima Productions. Moving on, we have Mickey McTroy, who manages Stephanie Houston. He works at management and is a creative director in Netherlands. Last March, Stephanie Houston and I met Hideo Kojima and his lovely assistant Ayako in Tokyo. During a great meal, we discovered we had the same taste in music. Also, it was very inspiring talking about creating games. Hideo Kojima is, as a person, a really nice guy, but above all, a great artist. Next up, we have Omer Yunus, lead graphic designer at DICE and ex-Kojima Productions LA member. Thank you from a long-life fan to a member of the Kojima Productions LA team. Your inspiration has been nothing short of groundbreaking for a fan who dreamt to work alongside you on this historic franchise. When I first played MGS1 on the PSX, I never imagined I would be given the honor to work on an MGS project nearly a decade later. When I joined the amazing team at Kojima Productions LA, I dedicated my time to creating art that would exceed expectations both internally and externally. I remember pitching the original idea of Team Solid and Liquid and set out to create iconic team emblems to match. The logo for Metal Gear Online 3 was also a huge responsibility which I took on to create for the fans and to hold up the name of MGO. Looking back, my time at Kojima Productions LA often feels like it was a dream. I still feel extremely blessed to have been given the opportunity to have worked on the last MGS of the series, and so I dedicated this work for Kojima Productions. Here's to you, Hideo Kojima, Kojima Productions Japan, and Los Angeles Tazams for the breathtaking memories which will never disappear. Next up is Pantha, a journalist and editor from jeuxvideo.com, a French gaming website. Hideo Kojima taught me 3 essential things: video games, English, and community spirit. The man quickly became the pinnacle of my video game culture, and just as literature has its grand auteurs, I'm convinced that the Kojima name and his work will transcend the ages and that his very particular style will be talked about in the industry in the future. His talents for setting the scenes and the narrative aspects, his pursuits of details that placed every episode way higher than any of its rivals, just like a master of storytelling that everyone fails to imitate despite their hardest effort, Hideo Kojima has a unique and irreplaceable touch. Of course, no one should forget his teams and collaborators, a select few of talented people without whom wouldn't have been able to produce all the incredible games he is so renowned for. It was partly thanks to him that I joined the video game industry, because he gave me, with MGS 2 and 3, the desire to talk about my passion and write pages upon pages of ideas, theories, and analysis on forums dedicated to his games. I was very surprised at E3 2014 during a presentation of MGS5 to see a door open and see Mr. Kojima's head sticking out, taking the temperature of the crowd. It was quite funny, and I had to refocus on the presentation of the game. At the end, Mr. Kojima came in the room to talk with his teams and accepted to briefly see us for a handshake, an exchange of words, and a picture. After all, although we are professionals of the industry and the critics of his next work, we were all the product of his creations. Kojima has an aura, the aura of a man whose creative potential can do miracles, the aura of an artist of video games capable of making masterpiece after masterpiece, a rare talent in the industry that many people don't give nearly enough credit and importance to. Next up, we have Ryuhei Kitamura from Japan. He's a film director and screenwriter. He says, "Friend, master, comrade, one and only genius of the video game world, I'm extremely proud to be born around the same time as Hideo Kojima." Short and sweet, I like it. Next up, Satoshi Yoshioka, an artist from Japan, says, "I'm an illustrator. I was a member of Konami until 17 years ago. I've developed Snatcher and Policenauts along with Hideo Kojima. I was also responsible for the character design and illustrations of Snatcher 4 years ago, after I got a call from Mr. Kojima asking me to do it. My relationship with Hideo Kojima has been and will continue to be a very long one. He's my senior, but was sometimes more like a brother, at other times a father. I sincerely congratulate the establishment of new Kojima Productions and hope for the best in the future." Moving along, we have none other than Stephanie Houston, actress, model, singer extraordinaire from Netherlands, who played none other than Quiet, the sniper deprived of her words, who many of the Metal Gear community have gone to cosplay and make artwork of, and she had the following to say. "I was familiar with the Metal Gear series before I became a part of it, mostly through personal friends who loved the series. Once I became involved, I started playing MGS1 and fell in love as well. I continued playing the sequels and didn't stop until I finished all the games in the series. I think Hideo Kojima has a unique talent, both as a game designer and a director. It is amazing how involved he is in every part that goes into making his games. I feel immensely lucky and grateful to have been given the opportunity to work with Hideo Kojima, but also to have met folks from the fan community, which is full of amazing and devoted people. Just like all the other fans, I can't wait to see what amazing works Hideo will bring us in the future." Next up, we have Sullivan Roy from France. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He's a journalist and editor from comicsblog.fr, and he said the following. "More than 30 years of pure bliss, of video game revolution, of top-of-the-generation games, of artistic choices, of a story that will stay forever, the first global masterpiece of a media that is still in search of its capabilities and limits. A one-of-a-kind visionary, Hideo Kojima gave us a saga full of humanity and teachings. Gamers who have grown up with these games have been able to apprehend the world through 3 heroes, each of them carrying universal values that need to be defended. Not satisfied only by technical excellence, Mr. Kojima gave us a saga that has transcended generations and gameplays, capable of foreseeing a liberal future. He spent 3 decades of MGS giving us a precious reflection on relationships, on power, on sacrifice. On a more global scale, he showed us a Japan miraculously reborn after the Second World War, watching the world fall in the Cold War, post-colonial empire problems, rampant capitalism. A story Kojima was able to tell through Big Boss, but it is the story of Mr. Kojima, the story of Japan, and also our story. Thank you so much, Kojima-san. Moving along, Third Editions, a publishing house from France. I think my passion for the Metal Gear Solid games and their creator Hideo Kojima came from his ability to surprise me. In this day and age where everything is designed to sell based on what has already sold well, where marketing is very predictable, and where creators go for security by never giving their fans anything else than what they expect, pursues his ideas and his desires. Because of that, his games are not perfect, just as men aren't, sometimes going in the too much territory, sometimes a bit clumsy, but who cares? I'll gladly take that over any game whose sole objective is to appeal to everyone with no risk taken. When you get into a new Metal Gear episode, you know you'll witness the mind and vision of an artist at work, and that, if you can accept to let go of your preconceived ideas, you will, as I have, live some of your best gaming moments. His games know how to get me out of my comfort zone and never hesitate to shake my ideas and beliefs, leaving a smile on my face. We're almost at the end, folks. Next up, we have Yasuko Okajima, a fan from Japan, and by the way, she also hosted the Tokyo Game Show 2016 Death Stranding panel that Kojima had, so she is certainly a welcome addition to this book. She says, "A wonderful encounter to Kojima Kantoku and Metal Gear Solid had totally changed my life. Your masterpieces enrich, fulfill, brighten my life radiantly. I do appreciate to the excellent opportunity sincerely that I could fortunately preside at the Metal Gear Solid 25th anniversary party and talk with you on Hide-chan Radio. It's my honor. Best wishes for continued success and further leap of Kojima Kantoku and Kojima Productions from the bottom of my heart. Yasuko Okajima." And last but not least, some of you may recognize this man. This is none other than myself, Young Yeah, who decided to send Kojima a message. I'm of course a YouTuber slash blogger currently situated in the USA. Here is what I had to say to Mr. Kojima. There is simply no video game series quite like Metal Gear, and it takes an incredibly unique and gifted mind to bring something so vast and rich to life, in the same manner that it took a mind and devotion like Michelangelo's to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. It also takes incredible courage to push the boundaries like you do, Mr. Kojima, especially with the possibility that your bold and daring efforts may not be viewed favorably by some due to your unconventional methods. As for me, I want to say thank you for your courage and passion. You are an inspiration to creators and consumers around the world. You do the things that no other game developer would dare, and you commit to your instincts and decisions with unyielding dedication. The video game industry and gamers need people like you to do the crazy things, to keep things fresh, and to continue to raise the bar. I love that everything you do is so unexpected and exciting. You are one of few game makers that keep this industry from growing stale, and that keeps gamers excited for the future. Never change. Continue to bring smiles and surprises to the world. Continue to inspire others to be bold, and continue to invigorate lives as you have constantly done since your inception in the video game industry. Us gamers and fans truly feel privileged by your incredible work. I cannot wait to see what your next project will yield, and know that millions of fans around the world have your back. Know that we will always be your army. We will always stand by your side in outer heaven, and you will always be our big boss. Now, what you're seeing here is actually an abridged version of the whole excerpt that I wrote to Kojima. Tarak Chami had to abridge my message just for the book, but Kojima actually received my full message digitally, and as a little bonus, I want to read out what I fully wrote to Kojima. So I was asked to first submit a bio section for my excerpt, and it goes as follows. I was born and spent the first 14 years of my life in Venezuela, where my parents had moved to from South Korea shortly after they married. So strangely enough, my first language was actually Spanish, and Korean came along shortly after. I began to learn English when I was 6 years old, which my parents forced on me by hiring a tutor, knowing I would thank them later. They were right. The tutor taught me English for over a year before I was transferred to a school for American foreigners in 3rd grade. Most students and teachers in this school knew limited Spanish, so I was left with no choice but to actively speak and learn English. After spending 5 years in that school, I mastered the language. When I turned 14, due to Venezuela's degrading state, my parents decided to find new opportunities in America, and so on August 2006, we moved to Delaware, United States. The introduction of a third culture was a jarring one, especially at the ripe age of 14, but having mastered English by then, I quickly adapted as the years passed. Many new doors opened up for me in this foreign land that I now call home. In junior year of high school, I performed in my first musical, where I discovered my love for acting. So profound was this experience that I continue to do theater to this day. Theater eventually led to my discovery of YouTube during my second year in college, a medium through which I could talk about and express my love for video games, particularly the Metal Gear series. Finally, through both theater and YouTube, I discovered an unexpected interest in filmmaking along with a passion to become a voice actor, which I intend to pursue in the near future. So here I stand today as a successful YouTuber with even bigger dreams to achieve. The next section is my love for Metal Gear. Here I go. I have been asked many times where my passion for the Metal Gear series originated from, and what about it made me spend the better part of 3 years of my life covering Metal Gear Solid 5 on my YouTube channel during the game's development period. The fact of the matter is that nothing excites me more than the gameplay and storytelling possibilities of a new Metal Gear title, especially when every entry you have directed, Mr. Kojima, has been so consistently excellent. Like many fans, my love for the series began with Metal Gear Solid. Throughout my childhood, I played many incredible titles on the NES, N64, and PC, but none impacted me quite like Metal Gear Solid. I remember stumbling upon the game by accident. I was at a friend's house in Venezuela, and I happened to spot a PC CD case with a very intriguing cover art and a strange title. With my curiosity piqued, I asked my friend if I could borrow the game, to which my friend graciously said, yes. So I took the game back home and installed it on my computer. Within seconds of booting it up, my jaw dropped and my mind was utterly blown. Unfolding before my eyes was a fully cinematic, in-game cutscene unlike anything I have ever seen before. The graphics, the cinematography, the music, the atmosphere, the voice acting, and the presentation all came together to provide what I remember to be an incredibly vivid moment that completely reshaped how I thought about games. The experience only improved once I got past the start menu. The cinematic cutscene continued where it had left off as Snake finally reached the dock and ascended onto the platform where he would make his first codec call. The rich voices of David Hayter and Paul Eiding emanated from the animated faces of Solid Snake and Colonel Campbell, and I found myself completely immersed in the conversation and fully engaged in my mission to infiltrate Shadow Moses. After Campbell's fourth wall-breaking explanation of the controls, the game finally handed me the helm, and as I was experimenting with the game's mechanics, I distinctly remember seeing credits continuing to appear as I stealthily eliminated soldiers in the area. This small detail sold me on the notion that for the first time in my life, I was playing an interactive movie, a feeling that remained all throughout the game. By the time I was finished with Metal Gear Solid, my mind had been blown in 10 other different ways. The story and its many twists, the characters, the unique stealth gameplay, the boss battles, the visuals, the cinematics, the unforgettable fourth wall breaking moments, the themes and hidden messages. Everything was simply mind-blowing and perfect. I had glimpsed the future of video games. It was at that point that I realized that video games were evolving beyond toys to become experiences beyond what any other medium could achieve, with Metal Gear Solid paving the way for this movement. Future entries in the series only served to further confirm my realization. Every sequel offered even more impressive visuals, cinematics, and gameplay, setting the standard in each console generation. Each game also offered a unique story with a distinct flavor featuring its own set of compelling themes and messages, all while bridging together an epic, long-running saga. Playing through each Metal Gear game was like witnessing an entire world unfold before my eyes, and much like our real world, the Metal Gear series and its history is vast, complex, and infinite in its mysteries and the unknown, filled to the brim with tragedies and calamities, yet sprinkled with moments of pure joy and true beauty. I believe it is this relationship to our real world that made the Metal Gear series reach beyond just being a collection of video games. For many, myself included, it became a legacy that they deeply connected with. There is simply no video game series quite like Metal Gear, and it takes an incredibly unique and gifted mind to bring something so vast and rich to life, in the same manner that it took a mind and devotion like Michelangelo's to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. And the rest is history. This last portion is what got featured in the book. So yeah, those are my genuine feelings about Metal Gear, about Mr. Kojima, and it's just been an honor to be a part of this community, and it's a privilege to continue to be a member of this community. And this book right here, this collection of artists, cosplayers, fans, communities, and what have you, it just goes to show what an amazing community I am privileged to be a part of, and I cannot thank Tarak Chami enough for making this book and showing all the amazing sides to this community. I hope Kojima likes the book that Tarak worked so hard on, and I look forward to what the future holds for Kojima and for us, the fan base, the communities, the artists, the cosplayers, etc. And that concludes the Hideo Kojima book. There's one more excerpt here, and it says, "Now I remember who I am, what I'm supposed to do. You've cheated death and left your mark. I've tried too. I've written my own history. I'm my own man. You are Big Boss, and on a smaller scale, I am too. No, he is every one of us. Where we are today, we built it. This story, this legend, it's ours. We can change the world, and with it, the future. I am you, and you are me. Carry that with you wherever you go. Thank you, Master. From here on out, we are Big Boss." That is, of course, a slightly modified version of the Man Who Sold the World speech from the end of Phantom Pain. One page says, "It's not over yet." And this is just one last thanks from Tarak, which says, "There we are at the end. Did you like it? Before you turn these last pages, I would like to say a few things dear to my heart. First of all, it has been very pleasant to work tirelessly to make this project a reality during the last 6 months. I've not only taken great pleasure in making this book, but it has also allowed me to meet many extraordinary people, be it in France and Italy with my cosplayer friends, in Germany with Sura Denise and Perfect Stealth, or in Netherlands with Stephanie Houston and her family. There have been many unforgettable moments together. Stephanie deserves a special mention. I've never met someone with such good, positive vibes. It's been one of my greatest sources of motivation while working on the project. I want to thank Helmi and Mark for allowing me to make a dream come true by being such good sports and meet an important actor in a game I've loved since I was a kid. Having the opportunity to organize 3 private events throughout Europe with its amazing family was a one-of-a-kind experience. I am tremendously thankful to them for contributing to what will probably be the biggest project of my life. To continue with the thanking, I want to thank all the people who have been a part of this project. I wouldn't have been able to achieve such a thing without them. Their collaboration, their advice, their support, it has all been very important in making this book. Thanks to all the artists, thanks to all the cosplayers, thanks to all the personalities and fans who accepted to join in. Thanks again to Stephanie Houston and her managers for supporting the projects from the start. Many thanks to Walter, Vincent, Aurora, Esfal, and Natsumi for translating the whole book in Japanese. Without them, it wouldn't have been the same. Thank you to my friend Nicholas, who single-handedly translated and corrected the entire book in English. Thank you to Julian Chiez for immediately accepting to write the foreword on this book and having been so available. An enormous thank you to my friends from All 4 Addicts for their support along the way, and without whom I probably wouldn't be writing these lines. Thank you, Mike Tsuchinoko, for giving everything you had to make this book one of the most beautiful things I've ever done. But most of all, thanks for supporting me during these 6 months that probably felt very long. Finally, thank you, Hideo. Thank you for being an unending source of inspiration, for being a role model for everyone who participated in this project, and for all video game lover. Thank you for giving us the most beautiful thing we have, being able to dream in an often cruel world. Your creations have made us vibrate for almost 30 years. Thank you, Mr. Kojima, Tarak. And here is a Japanese translation of that message alongside an artwork of the boss. And I believe that is the conclusion of the book. I guess we have one last final message. It says, there is no need to introduce Hideo Kojima, whose works have changed the video game industry forever. A brilliant creator, a visionary, his influence and creativity are second to none. For that reason, artists, cosplayers from all over the world answered the call when Tarak Chami decided to pay him tribute. Artworks, pictures, testimonies, and anecdotes fill the pages of this book, made over the course of 6 months. This book is his fans' way of thanking him with all their heart, in the hope that he will continue to amaze them for many years to come. A Hideo Kojima book from Mother Base with Love, approved by fans. And that is the final page of the book. I think I've talked enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this read-through with me of a Hideo Kojima book, this love letter to Hideo Kojima. Share with us in the comments below your own testimonies and memories of Metal Gear, why you love Metal Gear, what made you become a fan of Kojima and his work, what you're looking forward to in the future of Kojima Productions, and to be further updated on Metal Gear and Death Stranding news, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out!